All right, Shalom Israel. Shalom to everybody online and that's watching us online on YouTube. Hopefully we can get on some other platforms as well. But for those that are watching online, shalom, shout out to you, brothers and sisters out there on the internet. And also shalom to everybody that's in class, also participating live in class as well. Shalom to you as well. And shout out to all our brothers and sisters out there in ISBHPK, Houston, ISBHPK, Rochester, New York, ISBHPK, Norfolk, Virginia. Also in California, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Cabo Cab down in Guatemala, shalom. And Amiatazah in London, shalom to you as well. And to all the brothers that's been in here for a while. And also shalom to those that are up and coming that are fairly new to the channel, shalom to you as well. And the water for watching. And hopefully we can edify the body of Christ. Because we know we're in the last days, so we got to just be vigilant and sober. You know, so looking at today's class, today's topic is called Cash or Ash Wednesday. Which one is it? You know, is it Cash Wednesday or Ash Wednesday? And the reason why we got to deal with this topic is because of the multitude of our people that are encapsulated in the belief that today is a day to recognize and attribute glory to Christ, to the Most High, as they participate in putting ashes upon their head as some type of representation of a fast or a promise that they're making to the Most High. All right. So when you look at these days, these holidays, not high holy days, but when you look at these holidays, so to speak, these man-made holidays, you got to look at the origin of where they come from. You got to look at the history of them. You got to look at what it means to our people. How many of our people actually follow these customs? How many of our people actually believe that they're doing something spiritual by decorating their forehead with some ashes?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know where they get the ashes from. I don't know if there's a store to get them from or they just burn something and put it on. I don't know where they get the ash from. But in their mind, some way, somehow,
the love of God.
Man, matter of fact, I think before I even came into the truth, I might have put some ashes on my head. You know, just being honest. Being from the world, you know, ain't no telling what you're willing to do. I probably did put some ashes on my head because I thought it meant something. You know, sometimes you follow what people do and without understanding. You know, the Most High said my people are destroyed for what? Lack of knowledge. They don't know. You know, so when you look at why our people do these things, you gotta track it down and figure out, is this something the Most High ordained? Is this something spiritual? Or is this something that has been passed down through superstition or tradition?
Yeah,
so hopefully, by the time this class is done, you should have a healthy understanding of Ash Wednesday. So if anybody asks you, you know, did you celebrate Ash Wednesday? You should have an answer. And you should have a decent answer and a pretty good answer of what it is and why it is that we do or do not follow it. All right? So that should be one question that you should be able to answer following up with this class. You should be able to identify what is Lent, what is Mardi Gras, you know, what is the history of it. So after this class, you should have a decent of an understanding, at least some type of rudimentary understanding of what is Ash Wednesday, all right, and what it means. And so to get started, let's go ahead and we got Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 5 through 7 up on the board. So shalom to everybody online, shalom family. And when we look at some of this history, you know, we kind of have done things without knowledge before coming into this truth about what it is that we're doing. And so people got to understand, you know, instead of just following, most people don't even know why they do it. Or they just watch their parents do it, or they watch their grandparents do it. Because you see kids with the ashes on their head. You see old people, young, all ages, even babies with the ashes on their head. Like, what do the babies have to give up? Or what do the babies got to actually fast for? You know? So, just so you know what it is, what is Ash Wednesday, it is the beginning of Lent. All right? It's the beginning of Lent. Now, Lent is the 40 days leading up to Easter. So you understand what that is. All right? So if you want to write that down, go ahead. Lent is that 40 days leading up into Easter.
Less than 40 days leading up to Easter?
Yes. The Lent is that 40 days leading up into Easter. Yes, sir.
L-E-N-T?
L-E-N-T. All right? L-E-N-T.
So before you said Lent is the 40 days leading up to Easter, what did you say?
I said so we understand what the actual day is, what Ash Wednesday is.
Yeah, and then Ash Wednesday is what before you said?
It's the beginning, it's the start of the 40 days leading up to Easter.
Oh, it's the start.
Yes, it marks the beginning of Lent. That's what Ash Wednesday is. It marks the beginning of Lent, which marks the 40 days leading up until Easter. Now, that 40 days is broken down into, which is 6 weeks. It's a 6-week period that's broken down into 6 weeks, which they count every Sunday as having a different meaning. All right, until you get to what you get before Holy Week, which is the last week leading up to Easter. You got that Palm Sunday. All right, that Palm Sunday is the last Sunday leading up until Easter. That week from Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday, that week is called Holy Week. All right, so I'm just giving you the traditions. If you don't already know it, I'm just giving you the traditions that's been laid down that our people have followed and have been following, especially when you look at our people. These customs, these traditions, this so-called religion is embedded in our culture and our people. When you look at the 9.5 tribes, you look at not just 9.5, the Catholic Church has created and distributed religion throughout the globe. So this has been not just in Europe, but also heavy in Americas, and that's North, Central, and South America. So when you look at our people down in Brazil, you look at our people down in Central America, whether it be Panama, whether it be Honduras, El Salvador, whether you look at our people in Mexico, they all do it because it's a heavy Roman Catholic tradition and custom that was passed down from the Catholic Church. So when you look at our people, we're the biggest purveyors of these so-called holidays. They're not high holy days, they're holidays. We're the biggest purveyors of them. We follow them the most. But half the time our people don't know necessarily why. We just know we got to give up something. All right. Now that 40 days also, supposedly commemorates the days that Christ fasted in the wilderness. All right. So that's why they count 40 days, because that supposedly commemorated that 40 days that Christ fasted in the wilderness. But you never read about that in the scripture, where the Christ said that should be accounted for as a holiday or a high holy day. All right, so it's a huge concept. Like the sister said, it's a big show, and it generates a lot of money. When you look at the GDP of New Orleans, they make the majority of their money around this time of year. You know, that whole week leading up until Fat Tuesday, that's like a week-long celebration leading up until Fat Tuesday. That celebration is revenue for the city, for tax dollars, hotels. That's money generated to businesses, restaurants, vendors. Everybody's cashing in on these days. These are big days. These are big paydays. Now, whether you got the Mardi Gras in New Orleans or whether you have the Caravana in Toronto, because you got a lot of 9.5 tribes that have moved up into Canada. So a lot of Benjamin specifically. I won't say 9.5 completely, but Benjamin for sure is heavy in Canada. And with Benjamin, they have brought their tradition and that carnival mentality. That Caribbean culture. That's what Caravana is. That celebration of that Caribbean culture. And so this is one of the main festivals that generates millions of dollars in Canada as well.
You mean 2.5 or?
Say it again.
You mean 2.5?
2.5 what?
Because you said Benjamin.
Benjamin. Oh, I made the correction. Not just 9.5, but mainly Benjamin is heavy in Canada.
Okay.
Heavy, especially in Toronto.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very much so. That celebration is they say in that just in that Caravana alone in Toronto, they say over 2 million people participate in that feast, that festival. All right. Yes, sir.
Wow.
So Mardi Gras is Ash Wednesday?
No, Mardi Gras is the day before Ash Wednesday, and we'll get to that too.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. So now,
okay.
Mardi Gras is the day before Ash Wednesday. Now, if you ever took any French class, or since we got any Spanish speakers in the building, what's Monday? Lunes, right? What's Tuesday?
Martes.
Martes, right? Now martes is the same as it is in Spanish. It's almost identical in French. It's mardi. Just like you say in French.
Mardi.
And so in Spanish you got what? Lunes, martes,
Miércoles,
jueves, viernes,
sábado,
domingo.
domingo.
Look at you, boy. Look at you. Oh, you on it. Levi in the building with the Spanish. So, but in French, you should know it in French too. Now, since you Levi, I'm gonna hit you. What is it in French? Since you stunting over there. Okay, so in French it would be lundi, it would be mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche. Dimanche is Sunday. I had a little French in me. So, but that's not. So the mardi or mardi is the same in Spanish and will be Tuesday. Now, gras, of course, is big or fat. So that's where you got Fat Tuesday.
Oh, that makes sense.
So now that's where you get Fat Tuesday from. It's Big Tuesday. All right? That's the day that leads up to Ash Wednesday. Now, that whole week is a celebration where you're supposed to be partying and enjoying yourself, but it's heavily commercialized. It was instituted, given to us by the Roman Catholics, but it's because it's a huge commercial success. And when you go down to Brazil, people fly all across the world
to do this,
to go to Carnival
yeah,
in Brazil. They fly across the globe to participate. That's one of the largest in Rio de Janeiro, one of the largest festivals, Carnival festivals around this same time that celebrates the same purpose, which is the forthcoming of Lent, going into Lent. So whether it's in Canada, whether it's in New Orleans, whether it's in Brazil, whether it's in Mexico, whether it's in Central America, it's a heavy religious day that our people follow. All right. Somebody hit some. Très bien, merci beaucoup. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hit you back, but you know what I'm saying? But shalom. All right. So that way we have a little bit of backdrop about what it is that our people are following, what it is that our people are celebrating when they say, man, I'm finna take off work and I'm gonna head down to New Orleans. You know, we got some people from Louisiana building. That's a big festival. And that's not just. Now, what I hear also is that it's not just in New Orleans.
No.
That all of the in Louisiana, all of the small towns, they all have Mardi Gras festivals. And some people say that the small towns are better than the New Orleans because they're a little bit safer. might not get robbed or mugged. You know what I'm saying? While you're down there. But that's a big payday for criminals too. But when you look at the festival, and our people have been doing it. I can recall as a kid my family going down there to New Orleans partying for Mardi Gras, and they just came back with a lot of stories and a lot of Polaroid pictures. You know, and you know the little joints you shake up a little bit. The Polaroids just show all kind of nudity and lewdness, but our people enjoy it. But we don't. Where is it from? Why are we doing it? You know, and that's what class is about. Also, is about going into what is it that's got our people so engulfed in these Catholic traditions. All right. So after this class, hopefully everybody should have at least a decent knowledge about the origin. What is it? Why are we doing it? And so on and so forth. So let's get the first scripture that we got on the screen. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 5 through 7. Let's read that.
Deuteronomy 32 and verse 5. They have corrupted themselves.
The Most High said what?
They have corrupted themselves.
He said we have corrupted ourselves. Read on.
Their spot. Their spot is not the spot of his children.
He said their spot is not the spot of what?
Of his children.
So when you got that spot on your head, and I'm using this in a literal sense, when you got that spot on your head, and you're thinking that you're designating and dedicating yourself to the Heavenly Father because it's Ash Wednesday, and you thinking you're spiritual, so you got that lint, whether you got it in a spot, whether it's just somebody's thumbprint putting that on your forehead, or whether they put the form of a cross, because the majority of our people that do it, whoever does it, if they get it from church, they will put a cross on their forehead in that charcoal and that ash. So the Most High said what?
Their spot is not the spot of his children.
He said, man, that's not the spot of my children. That's not what I put on that's not what I ordained in my children to have these spots on their head. I'm saying in a literal sense. But because that's what our people do. We think that by designating charcoal on the forehead, it's paying the Most High or Christ some type of homage. And the Most High is witnessing and taking notice of these type of ceremonies. Read.
They are a perverse and crooked generation.
He said, the Most High said, our people are perverse and what?
And crooked generation.
He said, our people are perverse and crooked. Read.
Do ye thus requite the Lord?
And this is where the Most High is saying, when you look at the word requite, the Most High is saying, he's saying to requite someone means to treat someone with, to treat somebody with ill will or to treat somebody well, to do somebody right. Basically, it's how you treat somebody. That's what it means to requite someone. It's how you treat them, whether it be good or whether you treat them bad. So the Most High is saying what? Do you requite who? Verse 6.
Do you thus requite the Lord?
He says,
return of favor.
A return of favor. But this is the Most High saying, is this how you treat me? Is this how you look at me? Do you look at me as signifying ash on your forehead as having some type of significance of obedience? Is that how you look at me? Is that how you're going to treat me? Are you going to treat me this way? Or is this the favor that you're going to give me is that you're doing something spiritual when you never see that going up into any man-made holiday, you won't even find the word Lent in the Bible. There's no such thing as Lent. All right? The word Lent actually in Old English means spring. It's springtime.
So this is like a festival. It's like a cult festival.
That's what we're getting to.
Wow.
That's what we're getting to. Yes, sir.
In what language did you say Lent is?
Lent is in Old English.
Old English. Okay.
In Old English, Lent is spring. So it's not anything to do with Christ.
I thought it meant Lent when I was a kid.
Yeah, like Lent in the pocket. Like,
celebrating Lent.
When I ain't got no money, man, I ain't got nothing, but I got Lent. So I got in my pockets, I ain't got no money.
Yeah.
You thought you put lint on your forehead, like take lint out your pocket and sprinkle some lint on your forehead?
Yeah, that washing machine back then, they
Yeah.
get the lint from the washing machine.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing?
It's hard to tell. But the Most High said, is this how you're going to treat me? Is this what you think that I want? Is this how you were going to requite me? Do you think that you're doing me well by doing these things? Read on.
Is not he thy father that hath bought thee?
It says, am I not what?
It's like,
Is not he thy father that hath brought thee?
I missed the old foolish people.
You missed
Yeah.
old foolish people and unwise.
Yeah. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise?
It says, this how you're going to treat me, O foolish people and unwise. This is what makes us unwise, is the fact that we'll get a tradition from a religion and think that this is what God wants from us. And never go to the Bible and find out ourselves, is this tradition actually in the Bible? Is this custom in the Bible? We never actually go dig it up and find out for ourselves. That's what makes us foolish and that's what makes us unwise. Foolish means to be untaught or unlearned. So it means ignorant. I don't know. I don't have no wisdom because I haven't dug it up for myself. It's just something I've seen my parents do, my grandparents do, and this is what they did. They gave away, they stopped eating meat. They didn't want to eat no meat leading up to Passover. Easter. Read on.
Con, is not he thy father that hath bought thee?
It said, is not he thy father that hath bought thee? He said, am I not the one that brought you out of Egypt? Am I not the one that saved you? Why are you following something different? Read on.
Con, hath he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations.
He said, remember the days of what?
Of old.
So the Most High said, listen, in order to serve me appropriately, he says, you need to go back. You need to go back in time. You need to go look at what it is that I do want as a sacrifice. What do I want as obedience? So he said, remember the days of old. We got to look back in time and find out, is this part of our culture? Is this part of what the Most High required from us? Is this what he wants from us? He said, remember the days of old. Read on.
Consider the years of many generations.
He said, look back in your generation. Read on.
Ask thy father.
We're supposed to be able to go to who?
Thy father.
With our
Or
father.
you talking about our physical
Our
father?
physical father.
Con.
We're supposed to be able to go to our parents and then ask our parents, what is Ash Wednesday? Good luck with that one.
Right.
They may have some type of knowledge of it, but they're going to repeat the norm. You just put ashes on your head. For what? You just giving up something. You just forfeiting, giving up. You're just fasting. For what? Where's it at in the Bible? I don't know. You got to go to church for that. He said you're supposed to be able to go to your fathers and do what?
God, ask thy father, and he will show thee.
And he will what?
Show thee.
But the problem is nobody's showing us. Because our fathers don't even know. Our fathers are only doing what the grandparents told them. And I look at my fathers and my parents and my family. They were in Mardi Gras. They was in New Orleans during this time. So they were fully engulfed in whatever them mint jubilees or whatever them drinks that they sell down the hurricanes.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's yeah.
What they sell the hurricanes?
It's hurricane.
Yeah, them hurricanes that's popular down around this time. Man, they got the big flutes with the hurricane in it,
Yeah, that's it.
or swamp water, whatever it is. I don't know what they're drinking, bro.
Over.
But they just came back with a lot of stories and a lot of pictures, and I was too young to go. They said you ain't ready for this. I wasn't ready for that, But I'm just saying I've never been personally, but my family, that was their tradition. Yes, sir.
What was interesting too is that our families, it was always when you were a kid, you couldn't wait to do it yourself because you kind of hear about their stories. So
Right.
You didn't get an understanding about it, but you knew it was live. You knew something was going on there. It's like, man, I can't wait till I get to go.
Yeah, because we're gonna turn up.
Yep.
Because I saw what they do. They was doing it. I seen the pictures.
Yeah, I heard some
Just a freaknik going on down in Louisiana. But that's our people. We'll do these things now. Being in San Antonio, there's festivals. La Semana. You got different festivals.
Fiesta.
They got the
Fiesta.
The rodeo center right now.
Yeah, you got things that kick off down here too. That's pretty much symbolic to the same nature. That same time frame.
Related.
Just not as outlandish as maybe an extravagant and lewd as New Orleans, but it still gets it gets crazy. Yes, sir.
It's crazy because based off of his point, he was saying that kids grow up and they actually have that, that they see it as fun. But
Right.
then they end up, that's how they pass it on, is they grow up having a love for it. And they're like, oh yeah, nothing's wrong with it. It's fun for the kids. But that's
Right.
their only thing that's.
That's all they know.
Mm.
And that's why the Most High said you're supposed to be able to ask your fathers, and your fathers should be able to tell you what it is that you should be doing. Not what hotel to stay in, and what street to go on, and what club to hit up.
Right.
That's what our fathers tell us. But when you look at our people, this is what we do, and we do it big too. This is not a small thing when it comes to our people. This is not a small tradition. This is a huge tradition for our people, and we go crazy during this time of year. So coming up, just yesterday ended Fat Tuesday, and it begins today is Ash Wednesday. So we actually know what people are doing and what mind frame that they're in today. But our Father's supposed to tell us whether that's right or wrong. Read on.
Thy elders,
It said you're supposed to go to your elders. Read on.
and they will tell thee.
And they will do what?
Tell thee.
And they'll tell you. So, because we got the wrong interpretation of Mardi Gras. We got the celebration aspect of it. We got the party aspect of it.
It's a good time.
It's a good time. It's a party time. It's be free. We got that aspect of it, and that's what was told to us. We never got the from the elders from a biblical standpoint. Does the Most High accept this? Is this part of His religion? Is this part of servitude or obedience to Him? That's something that we got to do now. Is go clean up the myth behind what nobody ever taught us. The things that nobody ever taught us. Now we got to go back and filter it out and find out: is this good? Is this appropriate? Or is this religious at all? First of all, when you put ashes on your head, it's supposed to be for the purpose that you're fasting. Now, next verse. Matthew chapter 6, verse 16.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. Whenever you're ready.
Everybody get it? Read that.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites.
It said, first of all, when you fast, you're not supposed to be like the hypocrites. Now, who's speaking right here?
Christ.
This is Christ speaking. This is Yahweh Shai. What people don't, other people call Jesus Christ. incorrectly called Jesus Christ. It's Yahweh speaking, the Son of the Most High. It's him speaking. He says, when you fast, you do what?
It says, be not as the hypocrites.
It says you're not supposed to duplicate the actions of the hypocrites. What is it that the hypocrites do that obviously Christ don't like? Read on.
Of a sad countenance.
It said they do what?
Of a sad countenance.
Their face, they appear to be fasting. Like everybody I saw today in a grocery store with that damn charcoal on their forehead in the form of a cross.
Right.
They look sad.
Yeah.
Their faces are down. They're kind of looking at you to see if you see the ash on their head.
You see
They're
it?
kind of looking at you, waiting for you to get eye contact, so you can view the ash. And then when you look at the ash, they look down.
Oh,
I see. You see me? You see me with my ashes?
They fast? That's a day of fasting?
It is. It is.
I never knew that.
Yes, it's a day of fast. It's supposed to be giving up something for Lent.
Okay.
But traditionally, they give up meat. All right. So he said the hypocrites do this. He said they change their faces so that you could see that I'm going through something. You could see that I gave up something. I'm losing something. He said, man, that's hypocritical in itself. Besides the tradition and the holiday, just the fact that you're fasting, but you got to let everybody know you're fasting. That's hypocritical, and that's a display. You're putting on a public image for that's a play actor. That's one of the definitions of hypocrite is a play actor. You're playing like you're sorrowful. You're playing like you're sad, like this means something to you. Read.
It says, for they disfigure their faces.
It said, for they do what?
Disfigure their faces.
They said they disfigure their faces. Read.
That they may appear unto men to fast.
That they may appear unto men to fast. First of all, if you're fasting at all, besides even this nonsense holiday, if you're fasting at all, are you supposed to put on a public display to let everybody know you're fasting?
No.
Are you supposed to walk around?
Oh.
Damn, brother, what's wrong? You thirsty? No, I'll be all right.
I'm trying.
I'll be all right. Damn, you sound a little hoarse, brother.
A half day to go.
Yeah, I'm just fasting, brother. You know, everybody eating, you looking at it. No, don't worry about me. I'm all right. Yeah, don't worry about me. Go ahead and double up on that slice. Go ahead and eat two for you. Don't worry about me. He said, hypocrites do what?
It says, for they disfigure their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast.
He says to appear unto men to fast.
Unto men, yeah.
That's the worst thing you can do anyway. If you're fasting and if you're abstaining from something for the sake of wanting the Most High Christ to see it and to take acknowledgement of it and to accept your fast, the last thing you want to do is let it be known to people. That's the worst thing you can do. Is put it out there that I'm fasting, that I'm giving up something. Then you know what? That fast should be between you and the Most High and you and the Most High only. That has nothing to do with everybody else around you. So even the idea, that's how you know it's wrong from the jump. Because who told you to put a damn ash on your forehead when you fast? Christ didn't say that. Read on.
Verily, I say unto you, they have their reward.
It said you got your reward. What does that mean?
You got
the
reward was the attention.
The acknowledgement from other people.
Yeah.
For when somebody said, "Oh, you celebrate Ash Wednesday?"
Oh, yeah.
That's your reward right there. When somebody said, you must be fasting. What are you giving up for Lent?" "Oh, I'm just giving up meat and tacos, Big Red, tamales,
Pork.
pork." So there's your reward right there. You got it. You got it handed to you right there. The minute somebody acknowledges your fast, the Most High is no longer acknowledging that fast. He's no longer paying attention to that fast. That fast doesn't mean anything at that point. It's obsolete. You just destroyed whatever it was that you were trying to get the Most High's attention in. The Most High wants, if you're giving a fast to the Most High, let it be between you and Him, and you and Him alone. Read.
Matthew chapter 6 verse 5 verse 17 or 6 and 17. It says, "But thou, when thou fastest,"
He said, but you. He said, when you fast, He says what?
Anoint thine head and wash thine face.
He says, anoint thy head and what?
Wash thy face.
He says, anoint your head and wash your what?
Face.
Wash your face, meaning what?
Wash your face, brush your teeth.
What happens if you got that ash on your head?
Your face ain't washed. You're dirty.
That ash is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Most High, Christ is saying, when you fast, He said, wipe your face, man. You ain't supposed to have that damn dirt on your face, man. I'm fasting. I'm fasting. You know that? No, it's showing you already from the jump that this holiday is BS. Already. Even from the beginning, it's non-religious, it's non-scriptural, it's man-made. It has nothing to do with our people. It has nothing to do with our culture. All right? Yes, sir.
That comes off like, to modernize that comes off like they would say it's called a pick-me. They say that 2023, that's a term. That's a pick-me, meaning like, oh, look at me, look what I'm doing. Pick-me.
Or it's pretentious.
Yeah.
It's pretentious.
Oh, okay. I never heard that.
It's called pick-me, but
I mean,
what is that? Just an internet term?
that's a modern
internet slang.
2023 term. That's what people are using.
That's a term for it's something different.
Yeah.
It's more pretentious than anything. Pretentious meaning I'm pretending, I'm inauthentic, I'm insincere, and I'm trying to project that I'm suffering so that you can know that I'm a spiritual person, I'm religious, and I love the Heavenly Father. I'm denying myself. I want you to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, whatever it is, pick me, or whatever it is, Christ called it hypocritical, man. He said, don't be like the hypocrites. Don't be walking around sad because you're fasting, man. What the hell is wrong with you? Nobody got to know about that. So, hold that right there. You're in verse 7, right?
I mean 17.
You're in 17. I mean 17, right? Hold that real quick. Somebody else get, who's the next reader? Get Romans chapter 14, verse 22. Read that.
Come.
Ready?
Yep. Everybody got it? Everybody get it?
Ready?
Yeah, let's get it.
Romans chapter 14 and verse 22 reads, Hast thou faith?
That's the question. Do you got faith? The answer should be what?
Come.
Does everybody got faith?
Come.
I hope so. Does everybody have faith?
Come.
Does anybody in here lacking faith?
Loud.
I hope not. Okay, so I got a definition right here online. The sister put pick me is for people playing victim or just doing things for attention. Wow. Man, I never knew that. Man, learn something new every day. So you know what? No pick me's, man, when you fasting, man. You know, ain't no doing things for attention. Don't be playing the victim. Don't do that. That's unofficial with the Most High, man. You get no glory, no acknowledgement, no recognition from the Most High or Christ whatsoever. All right. So read that again in Romans.
Come. Romans chapter 14 and verse 22 reads from the top. Hast thou faith?
So the answer is what? God. Yeah, everybody should have faith, right? Do you have faith? In the scripture. There's a question mark after that, right?
Come.
Why is that? Because he's asking a question, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have faith?
God.
Okay, so where should it be at? Read on.
Have it to thyself.
Yo, stop. You got to put on display, man. I believe. I got to let the world know. No. He
Have it
said,
thyself.
when you believe in the Most High, your relationship with the Most High, you know where you are. And if you do have faith, have it to thyself or what?
Before the Most
He
High.
said you have it to thyself before the Most High. Meaning, let your faith be before who?
The Most High.
So who should see your faith more than anybody?
The Most High.
That's when it matters the most. Is that the Most High see your faith. Now, you also got to be a good example. That doesn't take away from being a good example in the scripture saying, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. So you're still supposed to put, good works out there. But when you're talking about fasting, when you're talking about, taking something away, abstaining from something, and you're talking about giving alms, man, you got to do that between you and the Father. You're talking about doing charitable works, giving something up, giving something away, abstaining from something. That's supposed to be between you and the Father. He said, read it again.
Hast thou faith? Have it to thyself before the Most High. Happy is he
All right, so hold that.
Come.
I want you to go back and finish that one more verse in Matthew chapter 5 or chapter 6 verse 18.
Matthew chapter 6 verse 18.
Finish that.
It says that thou appear not unto men to fast.
It says that thou appear what?
Not unto men to fast.
That you appear not unto men to what?
To fast.
To fast. Read on.
But unto thy Father.
Well, boom, bingo. Who's supposed to see your fasting?
Thy Father, the Most High.
The Most High is supposed to see your fasting. The Most High is supposed to see your abstinence. If you're going to give something up, whether it be meat, drink, TV, whatever, I don't care what it is. Whatever your fast is that you want the Most High to recognize, then it should be between you and the Father. Point blank. It's not meant that your fast be put on display for the world to see it. Unlike what you see today with everybody wiping damn ashes on their head just to get recognition from everybody that passed by. Just from the onlookers. I got 50 people acknowledging my ash. Okay, great. Good for you. You got 50 lookers. Good for you. You got 50 people that saw the ash. So what? What now? Where do you go from there? You think the Most High is paying attention to that? No, by no means. You think Christ care about the 50 onlookers?
No.
Yeah, good for you. But nothing comes from the Most High. Read that again, verse 18.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 18. It says that thou appear not unto men to fast.
So don't be wiping no damn ashes on your head. Don't be making those sad faces because you're fasting and you wait for people to see you. Read on.
It says, but unto thy Father which is in secret.
It said, where's the Most High at?
In secret.
Read on.
And thy Father which seeth in secret.
Because the Most High sees what?
He seeth in secret.
He seeth in secret. Read on.
It says, which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly.
He says, he seeth in secret shall reward thee how?
Openly.
Openly, right? So guess what? If you're I'm not sure what that is. That's right. He said, for your Father that seeth in secret shall reward thee how?
Openly.
Openly, man. So now this is a mano a mano, man. This is a one-on-one with the Most High. This is a one-on-one with Christ. If I'm giving up something, hey man, long as the Most High and Christ see me, long as the Most High and Christ see what I'm doing, that's what's important. That's what matters. Who cares about putting your fasting out on display? That's the wrong intention. Has the wrong purpose and the wrong meaning. And that's how you know that this holiday is ridiculous. Where does that come from? Because that's non-biblical. That's not even Christ-like.
You never seen Christ doing Ash Wednesday? You never saw the disciples do it? You never saw the nation doing it in the Bible?
Never seen it. You never seen it. That's why it's so critical that when you come up on these days like Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, Easter, you come up with Holy Week, Palm Sunday. When you hear these things, you got to open your Bible. When you hear these things, you got to open the Bible up, because you'll be following a man-made tradition that you had no idea that the Most High spoke against and Christ spoke against. You got to open your Bible. Next, brother, Isaiah 34:16.
Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail.
That's why it's so important that you do what?
Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
That's why you can't go to church and just expect them to be giving you the right answer, especially when they're following a Catholic system and a Catholic format, because you're going to be following a tradition that has nothing to do with Christ, that man made up. That's an amalgamation of paganism and supposed Christian rituals.
People get carried away because they see masses of people. They see lots of people. They see groups of people doing it. People get caught up into this, the fact why it must be true and it must be righteous because a lot of people are participating.
Yep.
They get more because people follow the masses more than they follow the scriptures.
When you see everybody doing, you almost think to yourself, where do I get my ashes at? I need to get some ashes too, because so many people do it. Am I not spiritual?
Yeah.
Am I not holy? I must be doing something wrong. I feel guilty that I don't got no ashes on my head.
Come on. And especially if you're a part of the family and you don't participate, if your family's heavy into that tradition,
Right.
then you become, well, why aren't you participating? Are you against the family?
Yep. So he said, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and what?
And read.
He said, that's why it's so important that you crack open the Bible and you read. Read on.
No one of these shall fail.
It says, no one of these shall fail. Now, what's in the Bible is these prophecies. These prophecies of the Most High shall not fail. Also, what won't fail, go to Ecclesiasticus and the Apocrypha and get, I'm going to spell check it real quick. 24 verse 1.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 24 and verse 1.
And the Apocrypha, everybody got it? The Apocrypha, the red book? Red book, tell me what page you got on the red book?
84.
Page 84 of the Apocrypha. The small red book.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 24 verse 1. Wisdom.
Now it's funny, we gotta address this too. Because the same people that's giving you Ash Wednesday is the same people that took the Apocrypha out the Bible.
That's the funny part.
That's the funny part.
That's out of this world.
That's the irony of it. The same people that's feeding you with Ash Wednesday.
It's not inspired by God.
They said it's non-canonical. They said these books are non-canonical, so they took it out and put it back in later on. So when King James translated the Bible from Hebrew and Greek into English, beginning in 1603, finishing around 1604, finishing around 1611, took him about 7 years to get it done. By the time he got it done, it was in the Bible from 1611 to 1885. That's 274 years it was in the Bible. It was part of the Bible. 1885, they took it out. And now these same people that took these 14 books out of the Bible is the same people telling you put ashes on your head.
And that's not in the Bible.
And it's not in the Bible. That's the irony of it. That's why it's so important that you seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
They hope you don't do it. They want
Yeah.
to read to you in Latin, so you don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Well,
That's the real problem. They want to sing these songs, and you gotta stand up and sit down all day.
and you do rituals, and you repeat those prayers,
Yeah.
and that's about it. You're just following what you're being told, like a sheep. You're not reading it for yourself. You're not finding out for yourself, is this right or wrong? Is this correct? Is the Most High ordained? Is this commanded by the Most High that we follow this? That's why he says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. He said, none shall want or make. Right? It says, and it shall not fail, right? So, we're in Ecclesiasticus, chapter 24, verse 1. Read that.
Ecclesiasticus 24 and 1. Wisdom shall praise herself.
It said, wisdom shall what?
Praise herself.
So you don't need what the Catholic Church got to give you. You just need what? Wisdom from the Most High. Wisdom from the Most High is enough to give you what you need. Read on.
And shall glory in the midst of her people.
It said, and shall glory in the midst of her people. Read on.
In the congregation of the Most High shall she open her mouth.
Wisdom will open her mouth, and wisdom will tell you whether this is right or wrong. That's why we go to the Bible and seek out the Most High's wisdom through the Scriptures, because we want to hear it directly from the Most High's mouth. That's why we want to hear truth. That's why we seek truth and seek the commandments out the Most High's mouth, because we want His wisdom. We don't want just what religion and church tell us. We've seen where that got us, and it's not doing anything as sufficient to change the minds of our people and to convert the minds of our people. It's not fulfilling enough. It's more traditional than it is spiritual. So wisdom is what we seek after, which comes directly out of the mouth of the Most High. Read on.
And triumph before his tower.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. I came out of the mouth of the Most High.
What did wisdom say?
I came out of the mouth of the Most High.
Read that again in Isaiah 34:16.
Isaiah 34 verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
Read on.
No one of these shall fail.
It said none of this shall fail. Why won't these prophecies and these scriptures fail you? He says, for none of these shall fail. Read on in Isaiah.
None shall want her mate.
There's no match to these scriptures. Read on.
For my mouth.
It says what?
For my mouth.
What?
It hath commanded.
And how did the Most High command these prophecies to come to pass? It was through wisdom. Because wisdom came from where? In Ecclesiastes 24.
Out of the mouth of the Most
Out of the mouth of the Most High.
Because wisdom comes directly from the mouth of the Most High. That's why you got to bypass religion. You got to bypass fake churches and fake doctrine. And you got to go straight to the Most High's mouth. You got to go straight to the source to get wisdom. That's where we get the understanding to identify whether this Ash Wednesday is sufficient, is it appropriate, is it realistic?
Mhm.
Is it truly religious? Or is it just traditional? We got to go to the source.
So our people don't know the difference.
They don't know the difference because they don't go to the source. It says out of the mouth what?
Out of the mouth of the Most High.
I said I came out of the mouth of the Most High. Jump to verse 6.
Verse 6. In the waves of the sea, and in all the earth, and in every people and nation, I got a possession. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide?
Now give me verse 9.
Verse 9. He created me.
Now he says, now who is going to inherit wisdom? We know that's the children of Israel. That's why they do everything they can to give us tradition versus the right appropriate ways to worship the Most High. The last thing they want us to do is worship the Most High appropriately. Because what will happen if that happens? If we stop getting fed tradition and man-made cultures and traditions, what will happen to us as a people? Give me verse 9.
Verse 9. He created me from the beginning, before the world, and I shall never fail.
And I said, what?
I shall never fail.
What will happen to the children of Israel if they go get the Most High's wisdom directly out of his mouth?
Shall never fail.
The people won't fail. But guess what we're doing following Easter, Palm Sunday, Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, Carnival. What are we doing? We're failing. And that's why they keep feeding it to us. That's why they make it a tradition to make sure they pump it, and you got your tickets, and they advertise it. They got it on billboards. They prepping you for these things because they know they're setting you up for failure.
That's why it's not defense. That's why I want to defend the people.
Nope.
You got ashes, man.
Because I got ashes on my head. They got nothing to do with the Most High. Because I'm drinking hurricanes in New Orleans. They got nothing to do with
Yeah.
What's that E40 song? Hurricane, and you could call me Slurricane. And because that's why they keep feeding us this. Because if we go to the Most High and get his wisdom out of his mouth, guess what? We don't fail. They set us up for failure. That's why the Most High said this in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3. Next, brother. Yes, sir.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3. Everybody got it? God. For the customs of the people are vain.
Read that one more time.
For the customs of the people are vain.
What does vain mean?
Worthless.
Useless.
So, what is Mardi Gras going to do for me?
Nothing. Vain.
What is Carnival going to do for me?
Vain.
What is La Semana going to do for me?
Vain.
Nada. What is Ash Wednesday going to do for me?
Vain.
Palm Sunday?
Vain.
Lent?
Vain.
It says the customs of the people are what?
The customs of the people are vain.
That's why we be failing. Huh?
And that's why we be failing. Because we follow some vain customs, man. We follow customs that don't mean nothing with the Most High in Christ. They don't mean nothing at all. Next, brother, Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 15.
Ecclesiastes 5, verse 15.
Yep.
Be not ignorant.
What does it say?
Be not ignorant.
The Bible says what?
Be not ignorant.
The Bible says don't be ignorant, man. Don't be ignorant. That's why we gotta take topics like this and dissect it and get some understanding about what it is that why the hell is our people so wrapped up in Fat Tuesday and Mardi Gras and Ash Wednesday? Why are we wiping ash on our head thinking that we're really doing something sufficient for the Most High in Christ? He said, "Be not ignorant." Read on.
Of anything.
Of what?
Of anything.
He said, "Man, the Most High wants you to know about everything and why you do everything. Why do we do Passover? Why do we do memorial blowing of the trumpets? Why do we do the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Why do we do the Feast of Tabernacles? Why do we do the Shabbat? Why do we do these things?" He said, "Be not ignorant." He said, "If anything, what?
In a great matter.
It don't matter how big it is." Read on.
Or a small.
It said, "Don't be ignorant in a small matter." Now,
Good point.
we got it.
I'm out here. It's not a small matter. You're putting ashes on your head, walking around, pretending to be sad.
Yep. That's not.
Saying it's for Christ.
Thinking that the Christ is paying attention to this. So now already. So I'm gonna ask a question based on what we got so far. What is Ash Wednesday?
Vain custom.
Main custom. What else? What else you got?
So like everything else?
Just a brief summary.
Oh, so Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, and Lent is the start of the 40 days which leading up to Easter. These 40 days are supposedly commemorating as the 40 dates that Christ fasted for, which obviously you can't prove that in the Bible. So that's what the whole Ash or the Ash Wednesday is about. It's about us, or the Roman Catholic Church, putting on the fake sad face that they're lamenting or they're sad about, and they're giving stuff up for Christ, but in reality it's just a showboat to fill the pockets of people and to give this false sense of pride as the hypocrites, back that we read in Matthew.
All right. So now we got to go back a little bit, and we got to go leading up to Lent is Fat Tuesday. So Fat Tuesday, what was Fat Tuesday? You should have that too.
Fat Tuesday is Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras, it's Mardi Gras, right? All right, and what is it? It's also known. Now write this down. It's also known as Shrove Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Shrove Tuesday.
I never heard of it.
SHROVE.
Wow.
It's also called Shrove Tuesday.
It just sounds devilish. It sounds like
Say that one more time. I'm so sorry.
Shrove Tuesday. It's also called Shrove Tuesday. And so what Shrove means, SHROVE, Shrove Tuesday. What Shrove means is confession.
Okay.
So you party for a week in Mardi Gras. In some places they go further than a week. And then after all the debauchery and all the licentiousness and of all the lewdness and filthiness, you come back and do what? You come back and confess and say, "I'm sorry. I barely remember what I did because I was thrown in the French Quarter." I was thrown in the French Quarter, and so I barely remember what happened. But whatever happened, Lord, forgive me. I was a sinner. Stupid, man.
Stupidity.
And so Shrove Tuesday means confession. So it's confession day. So it's the last day that that you could party and celebrate leading up to Lent, where you have to give up something and now you got to lose, and now you got to get it out your system.
So you gotta confess after you.
You confess. You party first, and then you confess, and then you put the ash on your head and say, "I'm gonna change."
Hey, you know, to celebrate the confession and eat pancakes out. It's also called Pancake Day.
Oh man, you know what's funny?
That's the
You know what's funny? Next week on the 28th is National Pancake Day. IHOP Day coming up next week. Coincidentally, ironically, Pancake Day is coming up this week.
Wow.
Funny you said that. You know what I'm saying? For anybody that don't know, go get you a short stack at IHOP. You know what I'm saying?
Is it free?
It's gonna be on the house. It's gonna be free. And confess while you at it. This has got to be a joke, man. Are you serious? This is what our people been doing for all these years? Yes, sir.
Instead of meat, Issachar will make shrimp cakes. It's like they're in the powder. They dry them up in the powder, and they'll make little cakes out of them, and in tomato sauce.
They'll make a michelada pancake.
Yeah, basically.
Wow. Wow.
Every year.
Yeah, with the michelada.
With nopales.
With nopales. Oh man, man, it's amazing what our people have been missing, man. Wow. Anyway, so now depending on what language our captors spoke, they still pass down the same Catholic tradition. You know, whether it's the Portuguese Catholic, they gave us Carnival. Whether it's the English-speaking Catholic, you know, they gave us Fat Tuesday. Whether it's the French-speaking Catholic, they gave us Mardi Gras. But our oppressors gave us these days based on their beliefs.
Yeah.
So now, what we got to do is, since the scriptures say you're supposed to ask your father, he'll tell you, but or your elders, we got to find out how the Most High feel about this. How's the Most High feel about these days that man make, that you eating shrimp cakes with tomato sauce, or pancakes, or you drinking hurricanes, or whatever it is that you're doing associated? How does the Most High feel about this? Go to Amos chapter 5 verse 21. Next brother.
Amos, chapter 5, you said 5 and 21?
Yes, sir.
Amos, chapter 5, verse 21, whenever you're ready.
All right. And let me get this next scripture too. Yeah. Go ahead.
Amos, chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days.
The Most High said, how does the Most High feel about these feast days?
I hate and I despise your feast days.
How does the Most High feel about Ash Wednesday?
I hate and I despise your feast days.
Pancake Day.
I hate and I despise your feast days.
Shrimp Cake Day.
I hate and I despise your feast days.
That Michelada Day.
I hate and I despise your feast days.
Yeah, you know, what is it with seafood and tomato sauce, man? Because that's the damn micheladas, man. They crab juice and tomato sauce.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With some spices in it, with some peppers.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Is it what most I said, man? I hate these man-made days, man. Most I said, that's how you feel about it. He said, I despise these things. Most I despises Carnival. He despises Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday. He hates these things. We love it, but the Most High hates it. Read it again.
Amos chapter 5, verse 21. I despise your feast days.
Go ahead.
And I will not smell.
And the Most High said, I hate the smell of it. Whatever food you cook on them days, he said, I hate the smell of it. No matter what you're cooking. Nothing like pancakes in the morning, huh? If it's dedicated to a man-made religious holiday that's fake, the Most High say he hates it, man. Whether that be Thanksgiving or whatever you want to make Easter. Easter is not an appropriate day that we follow. We follow Pesach, Passover. That's what we follow. We don't follow no Easter with bunny rabbits laying eggs, eating chocolate Cadbury eggs. You will find out the origin of that. We'll have a whole class on that later on. Right now, we're just dealing with this Ash Wednesday, this Fat Tuesday. We're just dealing with this. The Most High say he what?
He says, I hate, I despise your feast days.
Go ahead.
And I will not smell in your solemn assembly.
He said, I will not what?
Smell in your solemn assembly.
The Most High said, I don't even want to smell that junk. I don't want to smell it. When your get-togethers, your barbecues, your cookouts that you do on these holidays, he said, I don't even like the smell of it. He rejects it. Why does the Most High reject Fat Tuesday, Carnival, Caravana, Mardi Gras? Why does the Most High reject it? I want you to read this for me, Dalia, real quick. Read from here. Just stop it right there.
Go. Define Carnival. Communal celebration especially of the religious celebration in the Roman Catholic countries.
Oh, it comes from where?
The Roman Catholic countries.
And the Roman Catholics have penetrated Mexico, heavily in Mexico. They penetrated America. They penetrated South America, Central America. They penetrated the world. That's why even there's still celebrations in Nice, in France, in Cologne, Germany, Canada. Man, they affected everywhere. Go ahead.
That takes place just before Lent.
Right, just before Lent, it's the day before Lent. Yes, sir.
What are we reading this from?
This is from an encyclopedia just about Carnival.
Okay.
All right, read.
Since early times, carnivals have been accompanied by parades.
By what?
Parades.
So this is the time that people they get parades going. They got the marching band out. They got the school kids out. They got floats. They got cheerleaders. They got people dressed up in different costumes. Yes, sir.
You talking about like actual carnivals?
Yes. I'm talking about like the carnivals that's associated with this time.
Like
just last night they finished Fat Tuesday in North Central and South America. From all the way up to Canada, it was just called Caravana. In New Orleans, it's called Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. In Mexico, they got their own particular. In Veracruz, in particular, they have a huge one in Veracruz. And in Central America and South America, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, that the big one in Rio de Janeiro, Carnival, huge. Just finished last night. Now everybody, there's probably got to be at least 100 million of our people right now with ashes on their forehead today. Probably more than that. That's no exaggeration. There's got to be at least 100 million of our people. I'm talking about the lost sheep of the house of Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, that's walking around with ashes on their forehead, thinking that it means something, commemorating a day that the Most High say He despises. At least 100 million of our people walking with ashes on their head. But now we see how the Most High feel about it. But why does He feel? Why does He hate it so much? Let's find out. Read on.
It says, have been accompanied by parades, masquerades.
And what do they do in New Orleans? They got the masquerades. They got the masquerade balls. They got the little stick with the little mask on it. They got the stick with the mask. You can't see me. I got feathers around the mask. All you see is my eyes and my tongue sticking out. Read.
Pageants.
They got pageants. They got beauty pageants. Go ahead.
And other forms of revelry.
And it's other forms of what?
Revelry.
Pageants, parades, masquerades. All these are considered what?
Revelry.
Revelry, which means what?
Partying,
man. Stupidity, partying. Now it means so they partying without control, without discretion. Why is that? Read on.
That had their origins in pre-Christian pagan.
Oh, hold on. What are these carnivals, these Fat Tuesdays, these parades, these masquerade balls? Where did this come from?
They had their origin in
They had their origin where?
In
Pre what?
Christian pagan rites.
Oh, wait a minute. You mean to tell me this has nothing to do with Christ? This has nothing to do. Has nothing to do with the Most High Christ at all. He said it has their origin in pre-Christian pagan rites. Go ahead.
Particularly,
and he's going to identify where they come from. Where do they come from? Where does all these things that the Catholic Church is pushing? Where's the origin of it? Where does it come from? Read.
Particularly fertility rites.
It comes from where?
Fertility rites.
It comes from what? Fertility rites.
Mm-hmm.
And what else?
That were connected with the coming of spring.
And this is why Lent means what? Spring. This is why Lent means spring. Ain't got nothing to do with Christ.
Lent? What'd you say?
Yes.
What kind of Lent?
L-E-N-T.
You and Dalia thought the same thing.
Yeah, what kind of lint? Pocket lint.
Yeah, it's pocket Lent, bro.
Lent in Old English means spring, so they're celebrating the coming of springtime.
Yeah, but we ain't talking about Lent like when you broke and you ain't got no money in you. You just got the little fuzz that's in your pocket. Little fuzz balls in your pocket.
Yeah.
You know. That's not the Lent he's talking about. But he's talking about Lent, talking about what today is also called. Today is Ash Wednesday, which is the beginning. It marks the beginning of Lent. Lent is a 40-day. Y'all should have it written down. Lent is what?
40 days. This is a period of 40 days leading up to the beginning, which is the period of 40 days leading up to Easter.
It's the 40 days leading up to Easter.
Broken down to a 6-week
Lent
period.
And it's broken down to a six-week period, and they're counted by the Sundays. So every Sunday has a different meaning until you get to Palm Sunday, which is the last Sunday before Easter Sunday. And that week after Palm Sunday, leading up to Easter, is called Holy Week. And this is when you see, that's another big festival that you're going to find out that's celebrated across the world too. That's when you got all the popes and the cardinals out, shaking hands and kissing babies. You got people doing all kind of ceremonies and rituals leading up to that Passover. But all of these things come from where? They have their origins in what?
It says their origins in pre-Christian pagan rites, particularly fertility rites.
Particularly in what?
Fertility rites.
Fertility rites. So now you gotta find out where they come from. They come from fertility rites, right? So these festivals. Now, when you go to Trinidad, what's called Mardi Gras in New Orleans, or Carabana in Canada, or Carnival in Brazil, or Fat Tuesday in America, when you go to Trinidad and Tobago, it's called what? Shar taught me this one. It's called Bacchanal. Bacchanal.
Bacchanal.
I never heard before.
No, you heard it. You. Bacchanal is what it's called in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, hold on. What is Bacchanalia? Because they call it Bacchanal in Trinidad and Tobago, in the islands.
Sound like a beaver.
How you spell that?
Sound like a beaver.
You can spell it Baccanal. Bacchanal.
Oh, okay.
Shar told me that a long time ago.
B-A-C-C what?
K-N-A-L.
Yeah, Baccanal. Bacchanal.
A devotee of Bacchus?
Yes. A devotee of who?
Bacchus?
Bacchus. That's why it's called Bacchanal. That's the same thing. Same celebration. Same carnival. What is Bacchanalia?
Bacchanalia. In Roman religion, festivals in honor of Bacchus.
Yes.
Yeah, I know Bacchus.
Now you know. That's why I said you heard of it.
Yeah.
You just haven't heard it in that island fashion. Bacchanal. But where does it come from? Bacchus. It comes from the Romans. It's in honor of Bacchus. Go ahead.
Oh man.
Read.
It says festivals in honor of Bacchus, god of wine.
He's the god of what?
Wine.
Why does the Most High hate these feast days?
Because they're worshiping
Different
wine,
powers,
drunk,
different
right?
gods.
They're in celebration of different gods.
Jealous is jealous now.
The Most High is a jealous power. That's why the Most High can't stand Bacchanal. That's why he can't stand Mardi Gras. That's why he can't stand Carnival. That's why he can't stand Carabana. La Semana Alegre. The Most High hate that. What you got, Mawala?
1 Peter 4:3.
What you got?
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 3 reads, "For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walk in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banqueting, and abominable idolatry."
Read it one more time.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 3 reads, "For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles."
It said there was a point in time when we used to participate and do the activities, and we used to be one with who?
With the Gentiles.
That's why David said this in Psalm 73 and 22, because we could all say this. Read that, Psalm 73 and 22. Yeah. I hold that, my wallet. You gonna read that one more time?
Psalm 73
Yes.
and verse 22.
And somebody else read Ephesians chapter 2 verse 1.
Come. Psalm 73
and verse 22. So foolish was I.
Yeah, we all used to be partying. We didn't even know what the hell we were celebrating. We was all doing something, participating in some type of festival, had no idea of the origin of the festival. Had no idea the root of it. And what it was from. And why we were doing it. He says, so foolish and ignorant was I. Go ahead.
So foolish was I, and ignorant.
I was ignorant. A lot of us was not taught. We didn't know what we were doing and what we were celebrating to and celebrating for. We were just there because everybody was there. We were there because we know our people did that as a tradition. And they handed it down to us. Read.
So foolish was I, and ignorant. I was as a beast before them.
And we did it big too. And we went all the way into being involved into the customs of the Gentiles. We went all the way left. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 1.
Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 1. And you have quickened.
And you what?
And he has quickened.
And you have he quickened.
And you have he quickened.
Read.
Who were dead in trespasses and sins.
We were consumed in what?
Trespasses and sins.
So yeah, we're not for those that's trying to make a change, we're not judging you because we used to be there too. Because we were ignorant too. We didn't know no better also. We're not holier than thou. We was right there in the parade, celebrating, getting loose, letting it all hang out, throwing beads for favors. Got the beads around us, throwing beads down from the second floor, down, just show me something, throwing beads, earn them beads. We was all doing it. Read.
Wherein in time past you walked according to the course of this world.
He says there was a time when we also walked according to the what?
The course of this world.
When we walked according to the course of this world. We was on the same path. We was following Bacchus and didn't even know it. Read on.
According to the prince of the power of the air.
And we know that's Satan. Read on.
The spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience.
The same spirit that's alive and well that's just got through partying just yesterday. Read on.
Among whom also.
It says among whom also what?
We all had our conversations.
We all used to talk about that, man. I can't wait to go to spring break. Where you going for spring break? I don't know what teenager didn't have that conversation. Where you going for spring break? Get it? Spring break?
Yeah.
Spring means what? Lent. Where you going for Lent break, man? You going to celebrate Bacchus. You go to South Padre Island to celebrate Bacchus. California, you probably going to Tijuana to celebrate Bacchus. In Colorado, you probably going to what? What's that damn lake? What's that damn lake that?
Havasu.
Lake Havasu, Arizona. Is that Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lake Havasu, Arizona. That's where they go to. That's where they go to celebrate Bacchus. You know what I'm saying? But
they got the that anything possible event going.
Anything possible.
Anything possible.
Yeah. Anything possible.
Anything's possible.
You should have saved that till after the class. People gonna be looking that up like, man, anything possible. Because anything is possible. Well, you go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just an event that's gonna happen in Austin.
You know, in Austin, crazy. You know what?
During the same time period.
In celebration of who? Bacchus, man. He's the god of revelry, god of wine. You cracking bottles, you celebrating Bacchus.
Terrible.
Yes, sir.
No, it was just what you said. Like, we say that, okay, I don't know who that God is, but you are in celebration of it by the acts you're committing.
Absolutely. And that's why he said this right here. Read that.
This is Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 3. Among whom also we had our conversations in time past in the lust of our flesh.
In the what?
In the lust of our flesh.
Yeah, when you was following after your flesh, trying to party and celebrate, and trying to hit something up for spring break or a fall festival or summer, trying to make it a hot girl summer. Whatever you was doing with the drink and the partying, you was celebrating the who? Bacchus, man. You was celebrating to a deity.
Worshiping that guy.
You was throwing down in the name of Bacchus, the god of revelry and wine. That's why the Most High said, I hate that. I hate them feast days. Because you know what? They got nothing to do with him. But they have everything to do with Satan. He said, read on.
Fulfilling the desires of the flesh.
Yeah, we used to get plane tickets and catch buses and, take days off work and PTO, paid time off and hit the street. Go down to Miami. What's that damn festival in Miami? South Beach. South Beach might be not with that festival. I know South Beach, but I'm talking about that big old festival they got in right, same time as spring break.
Yeah.
It's that crazy ass.
Is that Cancun?
No, it's in Miami anyway. They do it big over there. Everywhere they do it big. They celebrate everywhere. But you know what?
I never knew. I've always like, man, I want to go to that. I want to be there. I want to see that. I never knew what it was about. I never knew what it was worship of.
Yeah.
It's a worship. It's really a worship session.
It's a celebration. Yes, sir.
They also put it on movies too, like subliminally, like for us to sit back here and
Snoop Dogg on spring break.
To understand that.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg on spring break. I don't know if y'all remember that. Yeah. Anyway, it's a lot of foolishness, bro. But you know what? We didn't know this. So he said, well, but we used to live like this. Read on. Finish that.
Fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature
and by nature we were what?
By nature
the children of wrath.
When we were ignorant, didn't know this truth, didn't have this knowledge, celebrating to other gods, partying in the name of other gods that we didn't even identify, that we had no knowledge of, the Most High classified us as the children of what?
Children of wrath, even as others.
Even as others. So we was just like the Gentiles. Now finish that scripture that you got. Read that one more time.
1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 3 reads, For the time past of our life may suffice us to have walked the will of the Gentiles.
Yeah, you know what? We should have got over that already.
So, I can hear one more time?
Come. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles.
So we were doing the will of the nations.
Yep. We were doing the will of the Gentiles. Is that it? Finish that.
When we walked in lasciviousness.
When we walked in what?
Lasciviousness.
Yes, we were just like the Gentiles, celebrating their gods. When we walked in what?
Lasciviousness.
What else?
Lust.
What else?
Excess of wine.
Oh man,
Bacchus.
Getting lit, getting thrown, getting twisted, getting faded, getting bent, getting perved. White boy wasted.
White boy wasted. Another level.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, man.
Yeah, you know it's bad when you hydrate the beer.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Or you got to drink to get rid of the hangover, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's horrible. It said, but excess of wine, all that is what? You're celebrating to a god, man. You toasting up to a deity. There is a God who celebrates in excess of wine and revelry. What else you got?
Reveling, and I got the definition of reveling.
Go ahead.
Feasting with noisy merriment.
Party going crazy.
That's the spirit of it.
Our people go crazy. You think they fighting? It just be partying loud as hell, just loud as hell.
Carousing.
I remember going out back in the day, bro. It was people just fighting in the streets.
Man, people getting stabbed, blood on the concrete. You know, they used to stick you because it was so packed, especially down at La Villita Square, when you got 100,000 people in 2 or 3 square blocks, and the bathroom line is like 50 miles long, and people are walking by sticking you, they stabbing you. This was big, man. I was a little teenager. You know, I wasn't sticking nobody, but people around me, somebody stabbed me. You'd never know who stabbed you because it was so many people.
Wow.
It was so many people, you never know who stabbed you. And now they were sticking you with needles and sticking you with knives.
That's the worst.
And then they run off through the crowd. You can't, it's so packed, you don't even know who did it. You just bleeding. But that comes with that. People think that's fun. People think that's a celebration.
They're having a good time.
They think this is what it's, man, we had a blast. Well, you know what? You celebrated to a God. You were worshiping a deity. You were worshiping a devil. You was a devil. Yes, sir.
What is that spirit of, like, you glorified like the best story you can get, the best worst story you can get out of that the night before? Like you take all this, you just celebrate it, and then you that's what you enjoy. Like, okay, I may have got stabbed, but I survived. I got jumped. I did this. I did that. And what is that called?
You woke up in jail?
Yeah. You relish it.
I'm gonna tell you what that is. We gotta get that real quick. James 3:15. Get that.
James 3 and verse 15. This wisdom descendeth not from above.
He said this wisdom didn't come from the Lord. This is not the Lord's wisdom. He said this is not God-given wisdom. That spirit that you're explaining, how we just did it all. We did it up last night, man. We had a blast. All this crazy. So-and-so got knocked out. So-and-so fell asleep outside on the porch. So-and-so peed on himself. So-and-so went to jail. So-and-so got beat up. He said this wisdom didn't come from where?
This wisdom descendeth not from above.
Man, it's not God-given wisdom. Read on.
But is earthly.
It's what?
Earthly.
Men lock into earthly wisdom. What do you call that? Read.
Sensual.
It's sensual. I gotta feel. I want to taste the night, man. I want to indulge in the night. What does the night has to offer me, man? I want everything the night has to give me.
That's a demon.
That's a demon.
Carnal senses.
You want everything the night has to give you?
Yeah, I want it all. I want to hang out. I don't even want to go to sleep. I'm gonna go all day, all night. He said this is earthly wisdom. Read on. It's sensual. What else?
Devilish.
It's what?
Devilish.
That's what you call that. That's somebody operating in the spirit of a devil. How many times have you been a devil?
Daredevil.
A daredevil, so to speak. You know, ask yourself, because you know what? When you was in that spirit where you were just about satisfying your flesh and your impulses, you were serving a devil. You just didn't know his name.
I was in the spirit of spirit of Bacchus.
You was in the spirit of Bacchus. You just didn't know who he was.
That's why it was a good time in the flesh.
Yes. You was having a blast. Read on.
That's crazy.
Read on to that. James.
God. For where envy
It says where there's envying, where there's fighting, strife, arguments, we get loud as hell.
That's the spirit of those loud riders.
This how a lot of black people get killed over a dice game.
Yeah.
Like what's his name from the Migos? Takeoff. Takeoff. Where they shooting dice.
Yeah.
And then some foolishness happened. And then what happened? Dead.
All that money wasted. All that time wasted.
On a New Year's Eve party.
Stupid.
He didn't even make it to the New Year.
Okay.
He might have made it to the New Year, but he died later on that morning, that January 1. Because I think that was a New Year's party from December 31st. He might have made it just into January 1. But about 2 hours into January 1, Takeoff took off.
Come.
Because he was around a bunch of what? Devils, man. Because you were around a bunch of confused, you a bunch of envying. You know they was arguing over a basketball game.
Stupid.
You saw the camera footage. They was arguing. Quavo was arguing about a basketball game. I could have beat you in basketball. You ain't give me a basketball. A basketball game? He said, well, there's envy and what else?
For where envy and strife is.
Well, now we envy it because I'm jealous. I'm really jealous of you. I'm jealous of your success. So now there's a fight. There's arguments. What happens? What else?
For where envy and strife is, there is confusion.
There's what?
Confusion.
There's confusion, brother. That's how we lived. In a bunch of confusion.
With no shame.
Thinking that was really having fun. Under the pretense of that was fun. I thought I was having fun. You call devil worship fun. And you wonder why everything around you collapses. He said confusion, what else?
There is confusion and every evil work.
And what comes of it? Every evil work. Didn't even know, got an STD. Didn't even know how I got it. Oh, that was November? That was a Halloween party then. My bad. That was a Halloween party that he went to. That's who? In celebration of who? Devils. I didn't even know, bro. The water. I thought it was New Year's. Yeah, no, the water. That was a Halloween party. The water. So that even show you right there what it was a night of. It was a night of devil worship with a bunch of devilish people. And you wonder what happened. That's what I would call that. That's what the scripture would call that.
Night of the living dead.
Night of the living dead, right? The walking dead, right?
Right.
So that's our people though. So when you look at the origin is, so now read this one more time. The definition of, do you let that go? That definition of carnival.
Carnival.
Since the early times.
Since the early times have been accompanied by parades, masquerades, pageants, and other forms of revelry that had their origins in pre-Christian pagan rites.
Go ahead.
Particularly,
they have nothing to do with Christ. All these festivals have nothing to do with Christ. Read on.
Particularly fertility rites that were connected with the coming of spring and the rebirth of vegetation.
And the rebirth of what?
Vegetation.
Now read Bacchus right here one more time.
Bacchus in Greek and Roman mythology, god of wine, identified with Dionysus, which is really bad.
He's identified
it's really bad
with Dionysus.
That's bad.
Read.
He was also a god of vegetation.
And he's a god of what?
Vegetation.
And why did people celebrate carnivals? Because it was about the rebirth of what? Vegetation. So when you want your crops to grow back, and you want after spring everything's burnt and died after spring, you know, nothing lived after spring. For winter. So springtime, you want your crops to grow back. So you celebrate this God for the hopes of Him blessing your crops and blessing your grounds, your vegetation. So
Dionysus.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Dionysus.
Dionysus.
One more time, D-I-O.
No, I got it right here. Hold on, I got it right here. Hold on. I want you to read this part right here. You spell it for him one more time?
Dionysus.
Dionysus, got it.
You got it?
What? I got it. I don't know if everybody got it.
All right, now I want you to read this part right here. Can you grab this for me? The cult of Bacchus. Right here. Read that for me right there.
The cult of Bacchus. The lavish rites in his honor.
So you pay lavish rites in his honor. So you spend a lot of money. You spend a lot of money on drinks, partying. It says these are some of the ceremonies, but they have other ceremonies as well. Read on.
The lavish rites in his honor were called orgia.
It says these rites were called what?
Orgia.
So the rites of serving Bacchus was called orgia, which comes the root of the word what? Orgia. That's where you get the word. That's what you participate in when you're serving Bacchus. That's why in Mardi Gras anything goes. That's why in Carnival anything goes. That's why the Love Parade in Germany anything goes. That's why the festival in Cologne, Germany, anything goes. That's why the Mardi Gras in Nice, France, anything goes. That's why when you go to Caramana, anything goes. When you go to Bacchanal in Trinidad and Tobago, anything goes. Because that's how you celebrate this deity. Read.
And won favor among the women folk.
It said the women really love Bacchus. Read.
Also called Bacchanalites.
They were called Bacchanalites. Read.
Men opposed them.
But let say men didn't like that. When women liked it. Bacchus is a deity of what?
Bacchus is a deity of the harvest.
He's a deity of the harvest. That's why people celebrate spring, which is Lent. Lent in Old English is spring, but there's a god associated with that. See, the Catholics didn't tell you about the whole story. They gave you Lent and they made up a story. They didn't tell you what all you were participating in leading up to Lent, leading up to Ash Wednesday. All of this was part of this ceremony. Read.
Bacchus is the deity of harvest, and celebrations in his honor usually take place in early October.
Or, go ahead.
However, secret rituals
Or secret rituals, go ahead.
were also held
When?
in March.
And when?
In March.
And it's right around this time, which is spring. Right around this time. This is when they really did some secret rituals, around this time of the year. Yes, sir.
March Madness.
March Madness, man.
All that.
Yeah, that is.
Madness.
There you go, March
It
Madness.
says
man.
right. It says right here. It says
All this stuff is coming together, man.
It says
Damn.
that Dionysus is the god of ritual madness.
There you go.
No way.
Man, if that, it is right there.
What?
It says insanity as well.
Yeah.
It says that March. So they got you thinking you playing a basketball game. Yeah, right. Ain't March Madness that they talking about.
Right.
They talk about March Madness in another way.
You're honoring
After
God.
that
You're
part.
honoring
Yeah.
that God.
Right. Read.
It says the god of great harvest, winemaking, orchards, fruit, vegetation, fertility, festivity, insanity, ritual madness,
Insanity.
religious ecstasy, and theater.
Damn. Now,
The Romans called him Bacchus.
the Romans call him what?
Bacchus.
See, and so let's go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Wow, man. March Madness for real, huh? Just so happened that his cult followers serviced him in March.
Hey,
Did secret rituals in March.
in Miami, it's Carnival on the Mile.
It's on the Carnival on the Mile is
Yeah,
what it's
the
called.
mile is talking about is a section in Coral Gables next to Miami. It's called Miracle Mile.
Miracle
So
Mile.
they say Carnival on the Mile.
That's what it's
It's
called.
the same
Yeah, it's the
thing
same
as-
thing. Yeah, I knew it. I
as,
just couldn't
New
think of it.
Orleans,
Yeah.
But that's what they call it there.
We used to go down there for the when we used to have our store down there in for the summer. I mean for the spring. And
oils?
yeah, with the oils, and they had about 3 to 4 different festivals going on at the same time.
Wow.
You had that electric dance music festival. I forgot the name of that.
Dubstep?
Huh?
Yeah,
It was like a rave. It was a rave. It was a rave in Miami around this time.
Like dubstep.
But it was crazy. And then they got Jazz in the Garden going on at the same time. Then you got the spring break. You know, we got the South Beach thing going on. That was big. You had a lot of different things going on. But people around this time, this is when people really party. Spring break. This is when people really turn up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people die, man. People die. Oh, they get too drunk. They overdose. They get too intoxicated. They crash. A lot of deaths during this time of year because people are. You hear about the kid last year that he fell to his death. The little 18-year-old. He was climbing a rock wall in front of a hotel.
Wow.
And he was drinking and he slipped. And he fell like first day of spring break. First day of spring break, he's 18 years old, slipped to his death, climbing a building, a rock wall, freestyling. You know, just 18, don't know how to act. You know what I'm saying? Just partying with your friends, trying to do some stunts. You climb the rock wall, no brace, no harness, slip to his death. This happens all the time. It happens all the time, man. But people, this is when they act a fool. This is when you suspect our people going crazy. We don't know what we're doing. We're just caught into the mix. We're caught into the feeling of everything. We're enjoying the lights and the music and the sounds and the beach. And we're away from home. There's no parents. There's no police. I'm free. I'm just having a good time. I'm having a blast. I'm just caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
But it comes with a consequence. Yes, sir.
I just thought it was made a good point too because the people that own the buildings and the places of celebration, they endorse it. I remember being underage, like in Santa Cruz, and they would give us alcohol.
Man, that's why we used to go to Mexico. You ain't got to worry about being underage in Mexico. As long as you cross that border, they don't give a damn if you can reach. As long as your face can reach the bar, they'll serve you a drink. They didn't care about all that. Or you put a $20 bill to the door guy. You put a $20 bill in your hand to the door guy. He let you right on in. He'll act like he looked at your ID. Hey, what's up, man? Here's a $20 bill. Oh yeah, go ahead. Be careful. You know they don't care about that because it's big money for everybody. They just care about the revenue that it generates. Down in South Padre Island, it's right next to Brownsville, the last city in Texas. The majority of their money comes from from 2 weeks. The first week is college, the next week is high school. And them 2 weeks generate the most money that they'll make all year. In a 2 week span. Because you gotta cross that 10-mile bridge to get to South Padre Island from Brownsville. Just that bridge alone takes you about 3 hours because it's so crowded. And they make all their money in a 2 week period. They don't. If you live, you live. If you die, oh well. They don't care. So now Isaiah 30:1.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children.
It said, woe to the what?
Rebellious children.
That's why the Most High called us rebellious children, man. We'll serve gods that have nothing to do with us. And we'll do it in ignorance. Because we're following the Gentiles. Because we want to celebrate their gods. That's their gods. That's not our God. That's who they serve. That's not who we serve. Read on.
Saith the Lord.
Read on.
That take counsel, but not of me.
We'll listen to some people that you don't even find Ash Wednesday in the Bible. You're not going to find Lent in the Bible. You're not going to find Palm Sunday in the Bible. You find Easter in the Bible one time. And that means that's a starte, man. And in regular translation, you find Ashtoreth, Astarte. All these are paganistic gods of Minerva. These are gods of the other nations that celebrate fertility. That's why when you see Minerva, or you see Sybil, or you see what's her name, Venus, she's a god with many breasts. She has like 25 breasts.
I've seen it before.
Because she represents fertility.
That makes sense.
Crazy, bro. He said, but read it one more time. I'm sorry. Read that Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1.
Verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me.
He said, they take counsel, but not of me. Read on.
And that cover with the covering.
He said, they cover with the covering, meaning they put on a festival. They put on a belief. They put on a tradition. They put ashes on their forehead. He said, they cover with a covering. What?
But not of my spirit.
He said, but it has nothing to do with his spirit. Ash Wednesday has nothing to do with the Most High Spirit at all. You got to look where it come from. He said they cover with a covering as if it's religious, under the guise that it's religious, because it was handed to us by the Catholic Church. But its roots is paganistic and it's pre-Christian. It was these paganistic rituals had been going on before Christ. Give me the get this Lupercalia. Look that up real quick. Lupercalai. Lupercalia. Somebody look that up real quick.
Ancient Rome.
Yeah.
Ancient
You want me to
pagan
read it?
festival.
You got it? Read it.
Lupercal. Pertaining to the Lupercalia, or feast of the Romans in honor of Pan.
In honor of who?
Pan.
Oh man, they celebrating Pan.
That's the worst.
That little half goat, half man.
Yeah, oh man.
You know, the little man with a goat body.
Yeah.
That stag.
So,
That's Pan, man.
Valentine's Day is rooted in it.
It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
When is Pan worshipped?
February 15th.
When is Valentine's Day?
February 14th. The day
13
before.
to 15.
13th to 15th. What's in the middle between 13th and 14th of February? I mean 13th to 15th?
Valentine's
Is the
Day.
14th. What's February 14th?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Bingo. You got your worship of Pan disguised as a day of love. You got your kids handing out little cards with little hearts, little sweet tarts that says love on it. Be mine.
Be my Valentine.
Be my Valentine.
All right.
With a flower and roses.
Or with a little card, you handing out little cards. You know, will you be my Valentine? You got all these different traditions that come from paganistic customs. Nobody told you that was Lupercalia. You celebrating the he-goat.
Right.
You know why he's the he-goat? Because the goat is known for his sexual stamina. That's why he's God of love too.
Yeah,
He's known for his stamina.
goat, that like goat meat
stuff they sell at the store.
The horny goat wheat.
Horny goat wheat. Somebody look this up. Read that first. Finish that real quick. And then I'm gonna look. We got one more definition. We're gonna get back to the scripture.
Pertaining to
Read
the
that.
Lupercalia, or feast of the Romans in honor of Pan. As a noun, the feast itself.
Mm-hmm. It says as a noun, the feast itself, right? What else you got on the? It said February what? 13th to the 15th.
Yeah.
That's right at Valentine's Day. Now, pull this up. FAUNUS. FAUNUS. Read that. Who is that? Faunus. Who is that?
Rustic god of the forest,
He's a god of the forest. What else?
plains, and fields.
Go ahead.
When he made cattle fertile, he was called Inus. He came to be equated in literature with the Greek god Pan.
Oh, there he is again.
Wow.
There's your Cupid.
Huh.
That's bad.
Oh, yeah.
Among the Romans, a kind of demigod or royal deity called also Sylvan, and differing little from Saturn.
Satyr. Yeah,
The
Satyr.
fauns are represented as half goat and half man.
He's half goat, half man. So, yeah, what you got?
It says Phanes was originally worshipped throughout the countryside as a bestower of fruitfulness.
He was a fertility god. He was a bestower of what?
Fruitfulness.
What else?
On fields and flocks.
And so he'll multiply your herds and your cattle. See, all these different customs that we have in America, North, Central, and South America, has been handed down by different names of paganistic rituals. So as you buy your kids Valentine's cards and Valentine's candy and all these things, you're resurrecting an old form of worship that was demonic, that had nothing to do with Christ, that had nothing to do with the Most High.
Did you want to know?
Unless it's good.
It says Phanes was associated with merriment, and his twice yearly festivals were marked by revelry and abandon. At the Lupercalia celebration of fertility held partly in his honor each February in Rome, well into the Common Era, youths clothed as goats ran through the streets wielding strips of goat skin.
Right. They was doing? They was taking goat skin. Young men was taking goat skin, and for the hopes of fertility, they was slapping people, and anybody that they slapped, that was a good luck charm that they would become fertile. That would bless either a woman's ability to be fertile or a man's genitals to be fertile. So they would often slap you on the genitals, just like this worship of Saturnalia. We ain't reading it, but same as the worship of Saturnalia, you take goat skin, dip it in milk, and slap the genitals. You play a slap ass with everybody that you run across up. You play a slap ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what they're doing. And they going through playing games, and anybody that gets hit, the hope is that they will become fertile. So all this is rooted in demonic paganistic worship, man. But we'll put our kids and we'll buy cards and hand out Valentine's Day cards, not even knowing what you're doing, out of ignorance. You partying for Mardi Gras, but you partying out of ignorance. You don't even know there's a devil behind that. Yes, sir.
It says the peasants brought him rustic offerings and amused themselves with dancing.
And amuse themselves with what? Dancing, man. It's a party, bro.
Beads and dancing.
Beads and dancing, bro. Who is that? What does that sound like?
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras. All these things are rooted in some type of demonic paganistic custom. Now back to the scripture, Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1 and 2, one more time.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me.
He said, we love to take counsel. We'll take counsel from some other fake religion without actually going to the word of the Most High, getting the word of instruction right out of his mouth. Is this an actual holiday? Or is this some man-made junk? Is this some amalgamated pre-Christian paganistic custom merged with Catholicism, handed to us in the form of a religion? Read on.
And that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit.
He said, man, the Most High said, you do things that's not my spirit, man. You lose loved ones, there's a time you put ashes on your head. There is a time in the Bible you put ashes on your head. But you'll never read about no Ash Wednesday. You never read about no Lent celebration. There is a time you fast, but you don't show yourself fasting to other people. Christ said that out of his own mouth. That's why I say our people put on a covering, but it has nothing to do with the Heavenly Father. Read on.
That they may add sin to sin.
It says you just actually made yourself worse. Following these other fake religions will actually make you add sin on top of sin. Read on.
That walk to go down to Egypt.
He says, we walk to go down to what?
To Egypt.
What does Egypt symbolize?
Bondage.
Bondage, man.
Captivity.
Slavery, captivity, restraint. He says, we walk to go down to what?
Slavery.
To Egypt. Read on.
And have not asked at my mouth.
And we don't ask the Most High, man, is this a real holiday? When are we going to ask them? When are we going to do these holidays to a disservice by going to the Bible and disproving them? When are we going to do that? Or should we just let our kids perform Halloween and Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, and because it's a day of love and celebration and fertility, and do the Easter egg hunt? Eggs have nothing to do with Christ. Christ don't lay eggs.
Bunnies don't lay eggs.
Bunnies don't lay. Bunnies are mammals.
God.
Only fish, birds, and reptiles lay eggs. That has nothing to do with Christ. But when are we going to find out the origin of what is it that we're following here in America that's keeping us fail? That's why we fail. Because we don't seek out the Most High's book and read. That's where we fail. You don't realize that all these damn holidays got a demon attached to it. He said, we walk to go down to what?
To Egypt and have not asked at my mouth.
He said, but you don't ask the Most High. Of his mouth is this appropriate? Finish reading this real quick. Hold that real quick. And finish reading this right here. It says,
one of the first recorded instances.
This is carnival. This is the definition of carnival.
Of an annual spring festival.
It says one of the very first ever recorded spring festivals in history. Ever recorded in history. Read on.
Is the festival of Osiris.
Where?
In Egypt.
What did he say right there in Isaiah 30? Read Isaiah 30 and 2 one more time.
Isaiah 30 and verse 2.
Read that one. You got it. You got it. I mean, you got it. You had it. I think you had it, right? No, you had it. You had it. Okay, go ahead.
Isaiah 30 and verse 2. That walk to go down into Egypt.
He said, we love to walk to go down into what?
Egypt.
How do we love to go walk down into Egypt? How do we walk back into Egypt today? Boom, bingo. How do we go back to Egypt? You go back to Egypt through their customs. You go back to Egypt through the traditions of following damn Mardi Gras.
Go back.
Following Bacchanal. Following Carnival.
Back into captivity.
Yes, that's how we go back to slavery. Yes, sir.
The people from Mexico, they'll come over here, Semana Santa, and spend money down here.
Yeah. Semana, I said it wrong.
Yeah.
I said Semana.
Yeah, you just said Semana. The Semana Santa, Holy Week.
Holy Week. I said it wrong. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, they'll come and shop till they drop.
Yeah, but that's big. Easter, bro. You got nationals all over the mall, and they love you. You'll know when they're here because they take all the new stuff they buy. They leave the boxes in the parking lot, and they pack it in suitcases, so that when they pass through the customs down to Mexico, they won't have to go through their bags because they'll confiscate their stuff. The police is corrupt. If they find out they shopping with new stuff, they'll take all that new stuff out and keep it. So they'll take all the boxes and the paper that it comes in, man, they leave all that stuff in the mall parking lot. Wow. And it's big, bro. It's big. All the nationals be shopping here. Big time. All Mexico shut down. Mexico will be shut down for like 3 days, man. that border checkpoint be full. But he says, you walk to go down into Egypt. How do we go back to Egypt? He said, man, it's through their customs, through the carnivals. Every time you pack your bags and go to participate in one of these festivals, you going back to Egypt. Read that.
It says, is the first recorded instance of this annual spring...
Read it slow. Read it one more time.
One of the first recorded instances of an annual spring festival.
Now we back to a spring festival. which is Lent. Lent means spring.
This is the definition.
Same definition of carnival.
Right.
Read.
Is the festival of Osiris in Egypt.
Go ahead.
It commemorated the renewal of life brought about by the yearly flooding of the Nile.
Boom. So that's one of the very first spring festivals. Came out of Egypt. The Most High said we love Egypt. We love to duplicate Egypt all over again. We love to resurrect Egypt. Egyptian lover, man. Now, read this right here. We're going to find out if this is true or not. This is 2 Babylons. Write this down. 2 Babylons. Let's get page 46 and 2 Babylons right here. If you don't got this book, I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's page 46 if you don't have this particular version, but it's let me get the chapter is called the child objects of worship, page 46. Read this right quick.
2 Babylons
By Alexander Hislop, right? I believe it's, yes.
Hislop?
Hislop or Hislop? Hislop.
Hislop. Page 46. Thus much the whole thing, or
just to highlight it.
The god worshipped as a child in the arms of the great mother in Greece, under the names of Dionysus or Bacchus.
Now, hold on. So Dionysus is who?
Bacchus.
It's just one is just Greek and one is Roman. They're the same. They're the same deity. So when you celebrating Bacchus, god of wine, you're also celebrating Dionysus. All right, read.
Or Iacchus.
Is
by ancient inquiries expressly.
It says both of these Greco-Roman gods are identified expressly. Go ahead.
Identified with the Egyptian Osiris.
Is the same as the Egyptian who? Osiris. So when you party for Mardi Gras, you celebrating a multitude of gods. You celebrating Bacchus, you celebrating Dionysus, and you're resurrecting Osiris. And you paying for it. You're paying to go worship another deity. When you partying uncontrollably, drinking excessively, you're celebrating in the name of one of these deities, and they're all the same. That's why the Most High said, you love to go down to Egypt. Our people love to bring back Egypt, man. Because you know how we love Egypt? We still, through ignorance, serve Egyptian gods. Even to this day. And who brought the gods to you? The church. The Roman Catholic Church brought the gods back. They brought the gods back in a different form. With a different name.
So disguised them.
To disguise the names.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't know what you was doing.
Mm.
You just thought you was doing what was right in the church. So, read that right there.
To the same purpose is the testimony of Diodorus Siculus, or Orpheus, says he, introduced from Egypt the greatest part of the mystical ceremonies.
So they say Osiris Osiris from Egypt introduced into Greece the mysteries of what?
It says
the mystical
ceremonies, the orgies that celebrate
the orgies come from who? Egypt. Egypt. Yes.
Wow.
The Egyptians were doing it first.
You know what I'm thinking?
Yes.
Thinking that.
So the Egyptians was
going apocryphal.
Right. The Egyptians was doing it first. The Greeks picked it up, and the Romans kept it going.
Wow.
And then the Roman Catholic Church revised it, remixed it, and fed it back to you.
I always thought it was the Greeks that started that mess, but the water.
Page 56.
Gosh.
If Osiris was...
Oh, hold on. Yep, right there.
If Osiris was Nimrod...
Hold on. Wait a minute. It goes beyond Egypt. It goes back to who?
Babylon.
It goes back to Babylon. Osiris was who?
Nimrod.
So when you celebrate Bacchus, you're celebrating Dionysus, you're celebrating Osiris, And the Egyptians got that from who?
Nimrod.
They got it from Nimrod. You're resurrecting Babylon. You're resurrecting that Tower of Babel that the Most High destroyed. You bringing it back through your festivals. You bringing it back through your masquerade balls.
Keeping it alive.
You keeping him alive through your parades. You keeping him alive through your partying. You keeping Nimrod going.
Yeah.
Read.
Says, if Osiris was Nimrod, as we have seen, that violent death which the Egyptians so pathetically deplored in their annual festivals was just the death of Nimrod.
So the same thing that happened to Osiris is they just acted out and played out the same death of Nimrod. Osiris and Nimrod died the same way. So these two deities are exactly the same. They're identical. You know, because there's nothing new what?
Under the sun.
There's nothing new under the sun, man. Everything that people are doing now has been happening just under a cover of a different name, a different captor, a different oppressor, a different culture with a different language, but the same custom. The same damn deity.
It's crazy, bro. All this is crazy, bro.
Read that right there.
Plato seems to show that in his day, the Egyptian Osiris was regarded as identical with Tammuz.
Now, who was Tammuz? It's the ones that the women weep for.
The weeping of Tammuz.
The weeping of Tammuz. That was Osiris. That was Nimrod. That was Bacchus. That was Dionysus. All the same. Read on.
And Tammuz is well known to have been the same as Adonis.
And he's the same Greek god as what?
Adonis.
The worship of the body. The guy that
Adonis.
The flesh server.
Say it again.
The flesh server.
Yeah.
Yeah, they served the flesh. Adonis was about his he had the most beautiful body.
Yeah, like Schwarzenegger. Too.
Right. What you got?
It says, in Sophocles Antigone, 441 BC, an inscription to Dionysus begins by addressing Dionysus as the god of many names.
He's the god of what?
Many names.
Many got many names, man. That's Nimrod.
It's crazy, bro. It makes sense now.
Now we understand. Read on.
It says, Adonis, the famous huntsman.
He's a huntsman.
The mighty
hunter. What did the Most High call Nimrod?
A mighty hunter.
A mighty hunter.
He became a mighty one on the earth.
And he became a mighty one on earth. Same guy. Same guy. New name, Mardi Gras. Read.
For whose death Venus is fabled to have made such bitter lamentations.
Right. Venus cried for him, right?
Yeah.
Right.
As the women of Egypt wept for Osiris.
So in Greece.
It says, so in Greece and Rome, the women wept for Bacchus.
You know what Bacchus means? Bacchus means, in Hebrew, means to weep. In Greek, it means what? Read on.
Whose name, as we have seen, means the bewailed.
Or
the lamented one.
Or the lamented one. To bewail or to lament or to cry. It's the same thing, bro.
Mourning, right.
It's the mourning. It's the one you cry after. But he has ceremonies that you keep, you pay honor to him. Same guy. Nimrod. That's why it says right here, just get to this point and finish this up. If you don't got this book, I recommend it because it breaks down the apostasy of the Catholic Church.
Two Babylons, right?
Two Babylons. Alexander Hislop. Great book. Read this.
All tradition.
Page 52.
From the earliest time.
It says all traditions from the earliest time. Go ahead.
Bears testimony to the apostasy of Nimrod.
All traditions go back to who?
The apostasy of Nimrod.
They go back to Nimrod, bro.
I got pulls right quick right here. It says it says he was the power of I'm sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Well, I'll read it and then you find it. It says all tradition from the earliest times bear testimony to the apostasy of Nimrod.
Okay, I found it.
And to his success in leading many men away from the patriarchal faith and delivering their minds from the awe of the Most High and fear of the judgments of heaven that must be rested on them, while yet the memory of the flood was recent. So it was Nimrod who was already changed. It was the worship of Nimrod that was changing the minds of men not to follow the Most High right after the flood. So the cults of Nimrod just kept going throughout time. They kept presenting themselves throughout time just under a different name.
It says Osiris is an Egyptian Egyptian mythology, who we know as Nimrod, right? It says son of Nut, goddess of heaven and earth, god of the earth. It was Osiris who invented agriculture and religion.
Boom.
So he is supposed to be the inventor of religion. So if Osiris is the inventor of religion, and Osiris was Nimrod,
then Nimrod was the inventor of what?
Of religion.
So the Catholic Church celebrates who?
Nimrod. That's Nimrod's religion.
That's Nimrod's religion, man.
That's cool.
Now you understand where all this comes from. So now, read that one more time in Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1 and 2.
And that's why people don't turn to the scriptures, because they're caught up in their tradition.
Right.
That's crazy because there's over like hundreds of religions. So it's
Right.
like that's confusing.
But they all go back to him. Read.
Isaiah chapter 30 verse 2. That want to go down to Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
And that's why the Most High said we trust in the shadow of who?
Egypt.
That's why he calls it the shadow of Egypt. It's not actually literally Egypt, but by celebrating their festivities, their celebrations, their holidays, you're trusting in their what?
Shadow.
In their shadow.
Image.
In their image. And their reflection. Egypt still lives through America. Because America still maintains the worship of Nimrod, the worship of Dionysus, the worship of Bacchus. So we still in their shadow. We're still in the shadow of Nimrod. We're in the shadow of Babylon. We're in the shadow of Egypt. We're in the shadow of a Roman and Greco-Roman society.
Great horror.
When you look at Bacchus, Bacchus lived at Capitoline Hill, which is called Capitol Hill. Where's Capitol Hill at?
Washington D.C.
In Roman in mythology, Bacchus lived at Capitoline Hill.
So that's where they got Capitol.
That's where you get Capitol Hill from.
Wow.
Same with Saturn. Saturn was also known to live at Capitol Hill.
Wow.
And he was a god of wealth and laws. So now we understand where this comes from. That's why Christ said what? Mark chapter 7 verse 9. Next brother. Next brother also get 1 Corinthians 10 and 21.
Ready?
Yep.
Mark chapter 7 and verse 9 reads, and he said unto them, full well.
That's why Christ said what?
Full well.
He said, man, our people's heart is fully set on what?
Full well ye reject the commandment of the Most High, that ye may keep your own tradition.
It said, but we said we'll rather put down Passover to celebrate what?
Keep your own tradition.
And we'd rather keep our own tradition. We'd rather keep the traditions that our parents gave us because that was our family. Because we don't want to go against the family. We don't want our family to make. We want to make our family look bad. I want to be accepted by. I still want to be accepted by my family because my family still believe in Mardi Gras. They don't see nothing wrong with it. My family still hand out damn Valentine's cards. They don't see nothing wrong with it. Yeah. My family still do Easter egg hunts because they don't see nothing wrong with it. Because what men will do is, once they get this knowledge, you got to make some changes. Because now you know. Now you know what you're doing now. But a lot of times our people will steal for the sake of the kids, man. I don't want to do, it's for the kids. What about the kids? Don't take fun away from the kids. It's not fun when you know the truth behind it. There's nothing funny about it. Yes, sir.
In that book you said the child objects of worship, is that what you said?
Yes. That was the chapter. All right. Read that.
Verse 10. For Moses said...
No, read what he said. He said, full well, what?
Full well ye reject the commandment of the Most High, that ye may keep your own tradition.
That you may keep your what?
Own tradition.
That you keep your own tradition. Read on.
For Moses said, honor thy father and thy mother. And whoso...
That's it. I just want to get that point. Because I want to get... They'll keep their own tradition versus what the Most High lay down. Next scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 21.
1 Corinthians 10 and verse 21. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Most High.
It says you cannot do what?
drink the cup of the Most High.
What if you're not convinced yet? What if you say, you know what? What if you say, well, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I did it. Now, I learned. Let's not take it away for the kids. Let the kids enjoy it. Let them have some fun. You had your fun. So, what about the kids?
You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devil.
You can't do both. So what does that mean? You got to make a choice. You got to make a decision. Are you going to teach your children these things? Or are you going to let them fall into the same Gentile paganistic forms of worship that pre-existed our times that we still fell into ignorantly? You going to dress them up in costumes? Because it's fun? You going to let them hand out the candies and the cards at school? Because it's just tradition? Because I did it as a kid? And I don't want to take fun from them? He said what? You can't do what?
You cannot drink the cup of the Most High and the cup of devil.
Man, you can't do both. You got to make a decision. It's either going to be Passover that the Most High gave us, or you're going to celebrate Easter. You're either going to celebrate Feast of Unleavened Bread, or you're going to celebrate Ash Wednesday. You're either going to celebrate the Sabbath, or you're going to celebrate Palm Sunday. You got to make a decision. You can't do both. Read on.
You cannot be partakers of the Most High's table and of the table of devils.
And the table of what?
Devils.
And the table of devils, man. You got to get rid of all the customs that's been fed to us. We have to disassociate with them and the lifestyle that came with it, with the partying, the drinking, the revelry, because you didn't even know you serving a damn demon and a devil that existed on earth already. Every time you partied up and get thrown, you celebrating damn demons. You resurrecting Nimrod. You bowing down and paying homage to him. You can't do both. Finish that.
Do we provoke the Most High to jealousy?
And that's what's going to happen. You're going to do what?
Provoke the Most High to jealousy.
Every time we party in Carnival and Bacchanal and the Caravana, man, we making the Most High mad as hell. Every time we partying, the Most High know the root of it.
Right.
And he's angry, man. You make the Most High jealous. Isaiah 1:3. Let that go. We almost finished. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 3.
Isaiah chapter 1, verse 3. The ox knoweth his owner.
He said the what?
The ox knoweth his owner.
He said the ox knoweth his owner. Right? An ox is a dumb animal. It just knows how to plow, man. And it's a stubborn animal. It represents strength and it represents stubbornness. It knows how to plow. It's a dumb beast of burden. It's not known for thinking too much. It's just known for work, for labor, heavy labor. Read on.
And the ass is master's crib.
An ass is a donkey. That's another dumb animal. A donkey is also known for stubbornness. You got to kick a donkey, whip a donkey. You got to do all kind of. When a donkey don't want to move, you can try to pull his neck. You can try to pull the rope. You ain't going nowhere. That animal is about 1,500 pounds. You don't move that easy, bro. You're not moving them too much. He said, but even these two dumbass animals, they know what?
Knoweth his master's crib.
They know where. They know what? What does that say?
They know where home is.
They know where home is at, man. They know how to get back home. Do you know how to get back home? Do you know how to get back to your customs? Do you know how to get back to your philosophies? Do you know how to get back to your strength? Do you know how to get back to your religious ceremonies? He said these two dumbass animals do. He said, but what?
But Israel.
But the children of Israel, what?
Does not know.
They don't know how to come back home. They don't know how to let go of these false, fake forms of worship that don't mean anything, that are insignificant, that are man-made mix of goulash and gumbo from the Catholic Church thrown at us with paganistic rituals and ceremonies. We got to learn how to let that go and disconnect from that. He said, but Israel don't know.
My people does not consider.
He said, my people don't even consider. So that's why it's important that we start considering the root source of all these forms of beliefs and worship. One more paganistic form that I'm glad. Give me the. He said the ox knoweth his master's crib, and the ass knoweth what?
Says the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib.
Now give me this right here. Somebody pull up the feast of the ass. Somebody pull that up real quick. Somebody pull that up real fast. We almost done.
Feast of the ass. A medieval Christian feast.
It's a what?
A medieval
Christian feast.
And so it's a Christian feast. A feast of the ass, huh?
That's horrible.
It's a medieval What the hell has Christ got to do with that? Oh, you got to be kidding me, man. What does Christ have to do with that? Read it again.
Is a medieval Christian feast observed on 14 January.
On January 14th, go ahead.
Celebrating the flight into Egypt.
It celebrates the what?
The flight into Egypt.
It celebrates Mary and Joseph being on the run from Herod.
Right.
It celebrates them getting the hell out of, I think they was in Bethlehem at the time when they knew Herod was coming. And they got out of there. So these damn pagans came up with a feast called a Feast of the Ass. And what does it do?
Celebrating the flight into Egypt. It was originally celebrated primarily in France as a byproduct.
And the French also gave you what? Mardi Gras.
Right.
The same people that gave you Mardi Gras created another feast called a Feast of the Ass, which you ain't never gonna find that in the Bible. Read on.
As a byproduct of the Feast of Fools.
It was a byproduct of the Feast of Fools. Another feast that came from the same people that gave us Mardi Gras. Read on.
Celebrating the donkey-related stories in the Bible.
Come on, bro. You got to be kidding me. They just going to take anything out the Bible and make a story about it and then feed it to our people, and we're supposed to follow that?
It's in the Bible, see? Yeah.
We're supposed to follow that? Read on.
In particular, the donkey bearing the Holy Family into Egypt.
It celebrates Mary carrying Christ riding on a donkey. And we're supposed to follow that. That's how you know the Most High said the customs of the people are what?
Vain.
They're vain, bro. They don't mean nothing. They make it up as they go. When have you ever heard that being a holiday? When have you ever heard of that being a ceremony? When have you ever heard of that being observed in the Bible? That's why the Most High said, man, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But he said, but Israel did not know. He said, my people do not consider. We'll let these French, these Europeans, hand us the Bible and tell us what to follow. We'll let the damn Europeans do that. They'll tell you how to observe the Most High. You got to celebrate the ass that Mary and Christ rode on going into Egypt.
That's like a demonic way of looking at the whole story of them going to Egypt. They're celebrating Egypt. They're celebrating the donkey.
Yeah.
That's how a pagan would see that.
Yep. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 25. We're almost done. Next, brother, read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 25.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 25 reads, after the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying,
After dinner, Christ had his disciples around him, and he took the cup. He brake bread. He did what?
when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood.
He said, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. Read on.
This do ye.
He says, this is what you follow. This was during what time? This was during the Passover. And it was the day of the Passover and the market and the night of Feast of Unleavened Bread. He said, this is the custom that I want you to follow. He didn't say nothing about celebrating the donkey that he rode on as a baby to flee from Herod with his mother Mary. He said, this is what I want you to follow. Read on.
This do ye, as oft as ye drink it.
He says, as oft as you drink it. Read on.
In remembrance of me.
He said, this is how you pay homage to me. This is how you remember me.
Crazy, bro.
Not no damn Feast of the Ass, or the Feast of Fools, or no damn Mardi Gras, or no damn Ash Wednesday, or no damn Easter Sunday, or no Palm Sunday, or no Holy Week. He didn't give that. He said, this is what I want you to follow to commemorate me. That's how you acknowledge me. All that other stuff is man-made. We let some European paganistic devil worshippers give us religion. Last verse. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 15. Next brother. Hey Shalom, you got a question? A brother, you have a question, Brother Damien? Last verse, and we'll wait for this brother question too. Get that. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 15.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 15. Therefore, brethren.
He said, therefore, brethren. Go ahead.
Stand fast.
That's why he tells you to do what?
Stand fast.
That's why you got to read the Bible, man. You got to stick to the Bible. You got to let go and drop all these customs that came in by way of European Catholicism. He said you got to stand fast. Read on.
And hold the tradition.
And hold the what?
The tradition.
The whole, not man's made traditions, not them damn Catholic traditions or Christian traditions. He said you hold fast to what?
The tradition.
Of what?
Which ye have been taught.
Which we have been taught, which comes from where? Where did we get taught?
Whether by word.
He said when we get taught, we teach about Passover, Day of Atonement, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of First Fruits, Purim, Memorial Blowing of the Trumpets, the Sabbath. These are things that we teach. Mm-hmm. He said you keep them things that we have taught by what?
Whether by word,
by your elders, or by what?
Or our epistles,
or by the letters of the disciples and the apostles. We stick to the scriptures, man. If you don't stick to the scriptures, you're gonna be floating away following some pre-Christian paganistic rituals.
Thinking it's holy.
Thinking it's holy, man.
Making sad faces in public.
You're gonna be walking around with ashes on your head in the form of a cross, thinking that I'm doing something. Yes, sir.
What is the context of 2 Thessalonians? Is that Paul talking to the church in Thessalonica?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Talking to the church of Thessalonica.
Thessalonica.
Mm-hmm.
And so the church of Thessalonica was previously, before this letter or during this letter, celebrating other traditions, not the traditions of the Most High.
You got to understand the world that they lived in. They lived in a Greco-Roman world. Can you imagine? We just read a couple of feasts. We just read a couple of celebrations that didn't make no damn sense. But imagine what they lived in and what was being pushed on them and what was the way of form of worship at the time. Can you imagine? We're reading about Bacchus and Dionysus. They were alive during the time when their cults were thriving. And the temples of Dionysus was thriving. The temples of Bacchus was thriving.
It was forward. It was more in your face than it is now. Now it's just subliminal. It's tradition.
And also, you have to think about too, the Caesars, the Roman Caesars, at many times were pushing these festivals because that was their culture. So if you didn't follow the Roman culture, this is why they put a lot of Christians to death, because they wouldn't bow down. They was getting fed to the circus. Was it an it was the circus of Maximanus. I forgot that. I think that's who it was. But that's where a lot of Christians were put to death. When you read the works of Eusebius, he dedicates a whole chapter to the martyrs. And you read how the Romans used the bodies of the Christians. If they didn't denounce that they would follow Christ, they were tortured and put on display, and they became part of the Roman circus. They were fed to lions, they were fed to bears, leopards. Families of people were fed to lions and leopards and mauled to death on the spot.
The OG Christians.
Yes, the ones that initially became Christians around the same time Paul was preaching.
Yeah, the original church.
And I think that was
the Hebrews, that the Israelites that were scattered in the different lands all throughout Asia Minor, that Paul established church. Those churches, right? To convert them from those cultic rituals they were worshiping in.
Acts 11.
Yeah, Diana, right? They were worshiping Diana. They were worshiping all kinds of different gods and deities. They came out of those concepts. They came out of those concepts and came into what? Following the example of Christ, and then later on learned the laws and commandments of the Most High. They learned Christ first, then they got the commandments second. Because they first had to learn Christ to get inspired to start what?
Following the laws.
To keep the laws of the Most High. But then, what was happening? Rome was collapsing because people were no longer participating in the cultural customs of the nation. So Rome collapsed spiritually, like America's collapsing spiritually, because people are starting to come out of what? The theology of America. Right now you're seeing it's the #1 record low. This is the lowest recorded numbers ever in the history of America of what? Church attendance. It's this time period. Church attendance is diminishing. No, just the fake church attendance is diminishing. And what's happening at the same time? This concept in the Bible is starting to penetrate these Hebrews who thought they were what? Mexican, Puerto Rican, Native American, black folks. They're starting to penetrate their mind, and they're coming back to their culture and doing what? The same thing that we did back then. The same thing we're doing right now in this classroom, coming out of Babylon, coming out of America, coming out of Egypt, coming out of religion, and coming to the example of Christ and the commandments and laws of the Bible. That's what was happening back then. But they got persecuted for that. That initial first generation was persecuted for converting back to their original culture. You get that?
Give me just read this real quick. Give me Acts chapter 17. I mean chapter 16. Start at verse 20.
Acts chapter 16 and verse 20.
Give me Acts chapter 12 verse 1 through 4, and then give me Acts chapter 16 verse 20.
Okay. Acts chapter 12 and verse 1. You ready?
Yep.
Now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the church.
It says, now at this time, the Herodians, Herod was a dynasty. Herod was a title given as a dynasty of Herodian leaders. The Herodians were who? Idumeans. They were Edomites that became leaders of the Jewish society. They became kings of Jewish districts. Right? So, these Herodians, they did what? They decided to do what?
Vex certain of the church.
He said, you know what? We're going to attack the church. And what did they do to attack the church? Read.
And he killed James.
And he killed who?
James.
For what purpose?
The brother of John with the sword.
Remember, James and John, two fishermen, right? Brothers, sons of thunder, right?
Yep.
James and John. Well, James got took out. Why? Because he said, I'm going to vex the church. I'm going to attack the church. I'm going to kill one of their leaders. Read on.
Verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Jews.
And he saw it did what?
It pleased the Jews.
So you not only did you have the pagans trying to take us out, but you had the Jews that didn't want to let go of their power trying to take out this newfound religion called Christianity, so to speak, or these new followers of Christ. I'll say Christianity or Christians, because we could read that in Acts chapter 11 and Acts 13, right? 11 and 26 and Acts 13 and 1.
And remember, I'm going to interrupt you, sir, but remember also that the Pharisaic sect of leadership, who were the Pharisees, were not following the Bible. They were following the Talmud. They were following
Jewish faith.
they were following the oral history. It wasn't the Bible history, it was the oral history. So the idea that certain position that they held got bastardized over time and went to Babylonian culture. So we were
Babylonian mysticism.
So the Pharisees were intermingling Babylonian mysticism with Scripture. No different
and their writings of their own interpretation of philosophical studies of the Torah. So they trusted in their rabbis and the writings of their rabbis, and they were passing down the tradition of the writings of the rabbis. Is what Davi is saying. Rather than the actual word.
So it's not like we were fighting it was the Bible versus Christianity. No, it was brothers who lost their way over time, got caught up into these writings that were based off Babylonian mysticism, and then Christ came on the scene, re-emphasizing the righteousness according to the Scriptures, and they were at war with that. And then the people were coming back to the Scriptures. So it was a culture clash. Is what I'm trying to say. It's a culture clash of our people.
Brings so much more clarity, bro. To be honest with you,
Right. Read.
God. And because he saw it pleased the Jews.
And he saw it pleased the Jews, the leaders, the Pharisees. Read on.
He proceeded further to take Peter also.
He was going to kill Peter right behind James.
Wow.
Read on.
Then were the days of unleavened bread.
It said, but he couldn't do it because it was during what time frame?
Days of unleavened
It
bread.
was during the time of Passover. So he couldn't do it. He said, I'm gonna wait. I ain't gonna put him to death yet. Let's get this real holiday over with. Because unleavened bread is a part of is part of the Passover. Sometimes you'll read that the Passover is a 3-day celebration.
Wow.
That encompasses the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Yes, sir.
Why did that stop him?
Because they weren't going to put him to death during a high holy day.
Well, I thought they didn't care.
No, they cared about that. Would have been wrong for the Pharisees. They still observed the Passover.
Okay.
I got something to say on that. Yoav had got a Bible from a customer, and it had the Star of David on it, and it was called the Mystical Bible. And they took out the book of James because it said it pleased the Jews
to kill James,
and they don't have the book of James.
And now we understand. James is one of my favorite books. You know why? Read James chapter 1 verse 1.
12 tribes scattered abroad.
Yeah.
Who got it?
Got it right here, sir.
James chapter 1 and verse 1 reads, James, a servant of the Most High.
James was a what?
Servant of the Most High.
And this whole letter of James, this whole letter, the book of James, is dedicated to who? Read.
A servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushai to the 12 tribes.
This whole book of James was dedicated to who?
To the 12 tribes.
Which was what?
Which are scattered abroad.
Which are scattered abroad. What did James say?
Greeting.
He said, what's up? Shalom. You know what I'm saying? He's shalom to all the 12 tribes, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why they don't want to see it that way.
Yeah.
I love the book of James. James is awesome. But I'm glad you said that. But they weren't going to kill Peter because the Feast of Unleavened Bread was coming up. But James, he got took. He got got. Read on.
Verse 4. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4
quaternions?
Yeah, quaternions
of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter.
After Pesach. Pesach is the word it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be Pesach, which is Passover.
Passover.
Read.
to bring him forth to the people.
And after Passover, he was going to bring them out and put them to death. Same thing with Paul. Acts chapter 16, start at verse 20.
Acts 16 and 20. And brought them to the magistrates, saying, these men.
It said, these men, go ahead.
Being Jews.
It said, they're Jews, go ahead.
Do exceedingly trouble our city.
But they're troubling our city. Why is that? Read on.
And teach customs which are not lawful for us to receive.
It said they teach customs that are not lawful for us to receive. Read on.
Neither to observe, being Roman.
It says neither they don't observe the what?
Being Roman.
They don't observe the Roman culture. That's another reason why they was getting put to death. Who put Paul to death? I think it was Nero. It was either Nero or Caligula, one of the two. I think it was Nero that put Paul to death. Matter of fact, I think it was Nero that put Paul and Peter to death. So, he said if you didn't follow these Roman customs, you was going to be put what? Yeah. You didn't want to follow Lupercalia, you was going to be put to death. You didn't want to follow Bacchanalia, you was going to be put to death. You didn't want to follow Saturnalia, you was going to be put to death. You didn't want to follow all their different religions, their festivals, you was going to be put to death. You was troubling the city. Read on.
Verse 22. And the multitude rose up together against them, and the magistrates rent off their clothes and commanded to beat them.
They said, beat these men, man. Beat the hell out of these men. They causing trouble. They don't want to follow.
But not those crazy festivals. Those festivals ain't causing trouble.
But Mardi Gras, we love Mardi Gras. We'll do some Mardi Gras in a heartbeat. But anyway, that's the point. Now that last verse, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 15. We ended with that.
It was Acts 16 and what one more time?
20.
The water.
Last verse, read that.
Come. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 15 reads, therefore, brethren, stand fast.
It said what?
Stand fast.
That's why you got to stand fast. Read on.
And hold the traditions which ye have been taught.
That's why you got to keep the traditions that you've been taught. You got to go to the scriptures and find out what is it that the Most High wants me to follow based on what he laid down that came out of his mouth. Read.
Whether by word.
Go ahead.
Or our epistle.
Go ahead.
Now our Lord Yahushua himself, even the Most High, even our Father, which have loved us, and have given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word.
It said comfort your hearts and establish yourself in what?
In every good word.
You got to stick to the Bible. You got to break out of man-made traditions. You got to stick to the scriptures. Read.
And work.
And work, man. Do the work of the evangelist. Do the work of what Christ laid down for us to follow. Being selfless, dedicated to the body of Christ. All right. But with that, I don't know if the brother had a question, but I was kind of waiting on a question from him, but I don't see one. But we're going to go ahead and end it with that. So is any questions in the classroom? All right. With that, we're going to say shalom.
Shalom.
And the water for watching. Let's go ahead and set up a quick prayer. Imagine we'll point walk down, rise and face the east. We'll say the Lord's Prayer. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Abanawa, Bashemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwithka, Kaba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ratazah, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, Mathananawa, Lachom, Ko, Yawom, Wasalachanawa, Kabwathanawa, Wasalachanawa, Kabwathanawa, Wala'ah, Tabianawa, Warasawon, Abo, Hawashana, Bayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wata Para, Lawilamium, Aman. Go ahead. 4 corners.
Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bakadon, support, turn. Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bakadon, support, turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Rabbanoah.
Yahshua.
Yahshua.
Support.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Hashem.
Hashem.
Yahushua.
Rabbanoah.
Yahshua.
Support.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahushua.
Barakatah Yahushua.
Wadi Yahweh.
Wadi Yahweh.
Wadi Yahushua.
Wadi Yahushua.
All love. All grace.
All grace.
All mercy.
All mercy.
All truth.
All truth.
All wisdom.
All wisdom.
All knowledge.
All knowledge.
All understanding.
All understanding.
All power.
All power.
All praise.
All praise.
All might.
All might.
All power.
All power.
Is from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
All power.
All power.
Is from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
All power.
All power.
Is from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
In Yahushua's name we pray.
In Yahushua's name we pray.
The water.
The water.
Amyad.
Amyad.
Aman.
Aman.
Men, circle up. Sisters, have a seat.
Saluting out in the heavenly order. Yahweh. Wadi Yahushua. Oku Yasha'Allah. Men of Israel. Munchim. Barak. Kum Yasha'Allah. Kum Yasha'Allah. Top. Turn our face, sisters. Sisters, please stand. Saluting out the daughters of Zion, men of Israel, Munchim. Barak.
Yahushua. Dismissed. Fall out.
Shit.